Chapter 519. On the same path, complete silence. A complete and deathly silence. Everyone started to recover from the initial shock, especially Xu Long and his group. Even though this incident had occurred so suddenly and was so implausible, it had happened in front of him. Everyone looked at Zuomo. Many people couldn't help but sigh inside, as expected of Darren. Zuomo could not pay attention to them so much. His spirit was suppressed almost to the point of causing an internal injury. It took great effort to calm the energies roiling inside of him. But as more and more gazes looked at him, he felt he needed to display more of the mannerisms of a boss. He straightened and coughed lightly. In the silence, it was unusually clear. He frightened himself. Yi Ling and the others suddenly became alert. Their expressions even more respectful. I say this. When Zuomo started to speak, the presence of a boss instantly dissipated. You guys want to pledge allegiance to me? Yes, Darren. Yi Ling's response was clean and crisp. Why? Zuomo asked curiously. His question attracted everyone's attention. Truthfully, no one understood what was going on. Darren has the potential to become king. Yi Ling unhesitatingly replied. Everyone liked hearing flattery. Zuomo was not an exception. He instantly gave a smile. You have pretty good eyes. You managed to find me when I am hiding so deeply? Gu Minggong, who just recovered, suddenly had a strange expression. But when he glanced around and saw the seriousness on Xu Long and the other people's faces, he intelligently suppressed his impulse to laugh. Xu Long, and the others threw gazes of praise at Yi Ling. As Zuomo's core troop and most loyal subordinates, Guard Camp was completely loyal to Zuomo. They originated as Xiuzhi slaves. Compared to the old-timers of Vermilion Bird Camp, they were less skilled in the ways of social interaction, and did not understand the customs of the Xiuzhi world. Their thinking was simpler and even purer. In their minds, Zuomo was the most outstanding, powerful, and wisest Darren in the world. Even if Zuomo told them to jump into a fire pit, they would jump in together without any hesitation. In their minds, they only existed for Zuomo. Gu Minggong felt Yi Ling was only giving platitudes, but Xu Long and the others did not think so. To be able to recognize Darren's strength in such a short amount of time. This guy had pretty good eyes. Unconsciously, Guard Camp's collective opinion of Yi Ling shot up. Yi Ling's words caused Zuomo to float and feel as though he was an immortal. The incident of almost getting internal injury just now was forgotten immediately. He grinned to the point his eyes were narrow lines. His face bloomed like a flower. Potential to become king? Oh, tell me slowly in detail. Yes. Darren. Yi Ling thought that Zuomo was testing his abilities. He collected his thought with the utmost seriousness before he opened. Darren is young and has cultivated the great Mo physique. In all of the Mo world, Darren could be called a genius. Situated in such a dangerous place, Darren was able to create such a powerful army and create such a situation. Darren has the signs of being a wise leader that can survive these troubled times. Only Darren, who is strong, has talent, a resilient personality, and also one with great foresight, might become king. Xu Long and the others nodded and exchanged looks. As they communicated through their eyes, they showed expressions of agreement. Shrunken in the corner, Gu Minggong was gaping. As he looked at the smug Zuomo, he felt this was impossible. The person speaking was serious, the person being praised was also serious. There was no flattery, no insincerity. It was terribly sincere and honest conversation. But the clever Gu Minggong opened his mouth a few times, but could not produce a word. Oh, it was a pity that eldest Xixiang and Gongsun Shidi were not present. He had forgotten, he should have recorded it with a jade scroll. Extremely happy, Zuomo instantly felt regret. This was one of those rare chances to grow face. He wanted everyone to see this. Finally struggling out of his regret, Zuomo smacked his lips with lingering hunger and coughed pretentiously. Oh, alright. However, we need to be low-key. No wonder Darren was able to survive in the Xiuzhi world until now and had even amassed such a group. He really understood the way of concealment. Yi Ling said with sincere reverence. Yes, Darren. Having heard the flattery and having enjoyed it, Zuomo felt that leaving like this was not fair. He thought and then said, Oh, since you have such sincerity, Then from today onwards, you are Grey Camp. Xu Long will temporarily lead the camp. You will be the vice commander." Yi Ling was overjoyed. "Thank you, Darren, for bestowing the name. But from today onwards, you have to take note and not reveal your identity as Mo." Zhuo Mo reminded Yi Ling. Yes. Yi Ling was full of admiration. Darren was extremely meticulous. He turned his head and spoke a few words. The entire Mo army changed their expressions. The Mo that could enter the Mo military all was of relatively strong strength, and changing appearances were not hard for them. However, the Mo sense of beauty was far different than Xiuzha. They preferred more rough and powerful appearances. Then Yi Long greeted Xu Long, and the others had been Xiuzha slaves and oppressed by Xiuzha for a long time. They did not like Xiuzha but did not have any bad feelings about Mo. Yi Ling's words just now had won their good opinion. Xu Long and the others felt as though Yi Ling spoke what they all thought. A feeling of walking on the same path rose. Xu Long said solemnly, "I will treat Grey Camp fairly, everyone work hard." Yes. Yi Ling was full of excitement. Accidentally recruiting Grey Camp caused Zhuo sneak attack journey to end in a strange manner, but in all, he had still accomplished his objectives. Under the efforts of Guard Camp and Grey Camp, they quickly began setting up a new base at the Chaos Rift. Compared to the crude base that Yi Ling had, the scale of the new base was astounding. However, the Mo grass sea was still uprooted. This was really too eye-catching. At this time, Yi Ling suddenly came to find Zhuo Mo. "Darren," Yi Ling said with hesitation. "What is it?" Zhuo Mo asked. "Darren, please permit me to persuade Sherdong Darren to surrender." Yi Ling gritted his teeth and said with determination, "Sherdong." Zhuo Mo stilled and then he reacted. "You mean the other Mo army?" "Yes, Darren," Yi Ling hurriedly said. "Sherdong Darren was this subordinate's previous commander." "Oh, tell me about him." Zhuo Mo's interest was stirred. Sherdong Darren is born from a rare branch of the Mantis Mo called the Sky Mantis Mo. Sherdong Darren is the most outstanding battle general this subordinate has ever seen. He is resilient and determined, extremely perceptive in battle. If he was not limited by his birth as a Mantis Mo, his accomplishments would not be limited to just so. "How is he compared to you?" Zhuo Mo asked curiously. Yi Ling's missed hand seat had left him a deep impression. "This subordinate is inferior," Yi Ling said seriously. "This subordinate has always served as Sherdong Darren's quartermaster." "So that's how it is." Zhuo Mo instantly had the feeling he was making a great profit and hurriedly nodded. "Then you can try." Yi Ling was overjoyed. Yes. Smoke wafted off Sherdong's body. His grand cape was no torn and dirted, his body covered in wounds of various sizes. He also had a tired expression. Beside him, there were only half of the organized troops that remained and all of them carried wounds. Sherdong had not expected the other to be so powerful. Thinking about these nightmarish days of battle, his heart couldn't help but shudder. The enemy battle general was too powerful. Other than at the beginning when the two were at a standoff, Sherdong had been forced to watch as the balance of battle slowly tilted towards the enemy. A slow yet resolute tilt. He had tried all the solutions he could think of but was still unable to stop the tilt. The other had suppressed them completely and did not give them any faults to use. He had never thought he would encounter such a terrifying opponent. Was this the legendary Shuedong from Kunlun? Or Tianhuan's Gongye Xiaorong? Wasn't this Cloud Sijia? Wasn't this a remote little place that four-realm heaven disdained to enter? How could such a peerless battle general be here? A golden battle general. Only a golden battle general could suppress him to the point of hopelessness. Sherdong was just a step away from becoming a gold battle general. If it wasn't for his Mantis Mo bloodline, maybe he would be a gold battle general already. Since a very early point in his life, he had rarely encountered a match for himself. He never lacked confidence when directing battle. But this time, looking at the small groups of 3 and 5 sword shio that were nearby in the sky, he bit down on his lips with a pale face. Just at this moment, a gasp of shock came from his vice commander. He suddenly turned around his face with a sword-sharp gaze. But when he saw the black insect in the vice commander's hand, he suddenly froze. A good opponent. Lilma's voice was full of praise. No one dismissed his words. The hardiness of this troop far surpassed their expectations. Even though Vermilion Bird Camp had quickly gotten the advantage, the others still withstood their assault. Even though they could not stop the rising tide, the collapse Immortal that people predicted had not occurred. Even fighting to now with only half of their battalion left, their morale was still shocking steady. If this was a normal battalion, they would have crumbled long ago. This kind of enemy was worthy of being respected. Ever since Lil Mis created his own core scripture, his consciousness expanded rapidly by the day. His last shortcoming disappeared. Lil Mis, who had been strong to start with, had become extremely terrifying, unusually and abnormally terrifying. The advancement in skill caused by his increase in consciousness could be seen in this battle. From the moment the battle begun, the rhythm of battle was in his hands. From beginning to end, he didn't give the enemy on chance. Steadily and unrushed, with a method that was almost suffocating, he pressed on the other's space, leaving them no room to maneuver. However, Lil Mis still had a high opinion of Sherdong. If he hadn't had a breakthrough in his consciousness recently, the other would have been significant trouble for him to defeat. If the battle was fought in those conditions, less than 1/3 of Vermilion Bird Camp would remain, and it wouldn't have been 0 fatalities like it was now. The other reason they had such an advantage was the enemy MO army's level was 1 lower than Vermilion Bird Camp. The investments that ZWMO made on Vermilion Bird Camp without any consideration for the cost finally showed their effects. Lil Mis was sure that the other had power that was nearing that of a gold battle general. Of all of Turtle Island, only Gongsun Cha and ZWMO had the power to fight against him. Even Shulong was lacking in comparison. It was a pity that Sherdong encountered Gongsun Lil Mississippi, the terrifying Lil Mis that even the renowned Corps Commander Yu Hung had fallen at the feet of. Such a hardy opponent, Gongsun Cha sighed emotionally and turned to give the order to attack. Prepare to attack. Let's finish this battle before sunset. Suddenly, Gongsun Cha's gaze stopped. He saw the enemy battle general leave the battle formation alone. The sword Xiao at the front quickly flew back and reported to Gongsun Cha. Darren, they are surrendering. Chapter 520. The Master of Cloud Sea. No one had expected that the battle ended in this kind of manner. When Lil Mis received ZWMO's paper crane, he did not have any hesitation and led his troops directly towards the Cloud Sea Jie River. No one knew that Turtle Island had achieved victory over the MO army. There were large numbers of Xiozha gathered at the Jie River, and were preparing to flee Cloud Sea Jie. When Lil Mis appeared with the troops, he instantly caused panic in these Xiozha. Even the Xiozha that occupied the gathering points on the Jie River assumed that Turtle Island had been defeated. In panic, they instantly abandoned their bases to flee Cloud Sea Jie. Lil Mis easily took over the bases on the Jie River. There wasn't any conflict involved. Those Xiozha that had been running away quickly reacted when they saw Lil Mis take over the gathering places. Turtle Island had defeated the MO. As expected, the news of their victory was quickly proven. Everyone was overjoyed. At this time, control of Cloud Sea Jie landed completely in ZWMO's hands. They had become the true masters of Cloud Sea Jie. The Xiozha that had been planning to escape returned to their homes. Without the MO army threat, who was willing to leave their homeland? Turtle Island's strength astounded everyone. At this time, which faction did not know of ZWMO's ambitions? But the situation had formed and they could not do a thing. Fight. The other could defeat the MO army. Wouldn't killing them be as easy as waving their hand? The factions that were not willing to be subordinate to Turtle Island left Cloud Sea Jie. However, many families that had deep local roots decided to stay in Cloud Sea Jie. Unexpected to ZWMO and Lil Mis, the great majority of people decided to stay. ZWMO later learned that most of the people in Cloud Sea Jie did not care who ruled them. Turtle Island's strength was also enough to protect them, and for them to feel safe. With the sky-splitting calamity, war was spreading everywhere. These days, the sound tablet continuously broadcasted areas that had become battlefields, which areas had been turned into a patch of scorched earth, or was filled with mountains of corpses. It seemed that within the span of one night, the Xiozha world really entered a troubled era. In a troubled era, preserving their lives was enough to satisfy most people. But for ZWMO, this was just the beginning. He was extremely busy every day. The enormous Cloud Sea Jia was the largest piece of territory he had ever controlled. The responsibilities as master of a Jia were novel and puzzling for Zuoremo, an ignorant country bumpkin with unorthodox origins. The complex matters were piled up like mountains and caused him a headache. He did not know where to start. Out of helplessness, he could only ask Pu Yao and Wei. Now you see, I guess this would happen long ago. Pu Yao did not reserve his disdain as a scornful smile hung on his face. This guy is just a country bumpkin. He can manage some business that doesn't require long-term investment. But to be a small-time landlord, he doesn't have the skill. Wei did not pay attention to Pu Yao's disdain. He had a warm and friendly smile on his face. Did you encounter some trouble? Neither of these two were good people. In all of this, Zuoremo was clear on this one point. Nothing more needed to be said about Pu Yao. He was an ungenerous person, but Wei wasn't much better. He might look harmless and friendly, but his level of danger wasn't any lower than Pu Yao. He did not respond to Wei. He had to cause conflict between these two. Zuomo's eyes turned and he suddenly asked, Pu Yao, how is your Yao army? Pu Yao's expression instantly darkened. The anger in his bloody pupil roiled. Those damn talentless trash, idiots, garbage. Even when he used all his methods, the foundations of these people were too weak, and they could not satisfy Pu Yao even now. Yao army. Wei gave an interested smile. No wonder Pu Yao had been absent in this past while. So he had been working on a Yao army. It seemed this guy still held a grudge over him stealing away guard camp. Zuoremo disregarded Pu Yao's dark expression and said to himself, no matter how powerful 10-finger prison is, it is only the 10-finger prison. It cannot solve all training problems. Useless words. Pu Yao's voice was glacial and his expression was unfriendly. He knew that Zuoremo was right. 10-finger prison was very effective, but it also had its limitations. It could not replace true combat. At the beginning, Nan Yu and the others had improved quickly, but recently the effects of lacking combat training had started to show. Their rate of advancement had slowed down. But damn it! Was the great Pu Yao Darren someone this boy could laugh at? It seemed that it had been too long since the boy was straightened out. This guy was becoming outrageous. Pu Yao was irritated. Just as he was going to punish Zuoremo, Zuoremo suddenly spoke. I have a good solution. Haha. Pu Yao seemed to have heard a great joke and roared with laughter. He did not disguise his look full of disdain. You, the country bumpkin, has a solution. This is too funny. Immune to Pu Yao's disdain since long ago, Zuomo's expression was unconcerned. You can listen first and then laugh. Pu Yao's laughter suddenly stopped. He stared hard at Zuoremo and a moment later, he squeezed out between his teeth. You better have a solution. Otherwise he. Zuoremo said solemnly. Many chaos rifts have appeared in the sky-splitting calamity. These chaos rifts have connected the worlds of Yaoma and Xiuzha. It is correct for me to say so. Don't waste words. Pu Yao said coldly. There was a faint smile on Wei's face. He sat motionlessly and listened carefully. The Yaoma and Xiuzha territories can be connected through the chaos rifts rather than traveling through bloody sky metropolis Jia like in the past. The distance between the two sides has shortened. Just as Pu Yao was running out of patience, Zuoremo suddenly said, maybe we can create a transportation formation and transport Nan Yu and the others over here. Transportation formation? Pu Yao paused and then had a thoughtful expression. A moment later he shook his head. Impossible. We cannot determine their location. You know that some transportation formations are composed of a yin and a yang component. What if we get Nan Yu and the others to set up the yin formation? Zuoremo asked in response. Pu Yao's eyes suddenly lit up. He was an extremely smart person and instantly understood what Zuoremo was thinking. These transportation formations were divided up into yin and yang formations with the two situated in different places. This way, the two formations could still connect, and so there would be a passage. If Nan Yu and the others could set up a yin formation in the Yao world, a yang formation set up here, that meant the chaos rifts formed from the sky-splitting calamity were actually natural transportation formations. Pu Yao quickly thought of the difficulty involved. He shook his head and said, The transportation formations are too complex. None of the others understand formations. We have sun seeds, Zhuo said proudly. The sun seeds can enter the 10-finger prison and be taken out. We can engrave the transportation formation onto the sun seed and use the 10-finger prison to pass it to Nanyu. Wouldn't that work? This idea is interesting. Pu Yao stilled and then had a pondering expression. A beat later he said, we need to try and find out. Zhuo's idea was very daring. I can supply sun seeds to you. You can find Gu Minggong for the transportation formation. That guy is very clever, Zhuo said generously. Humph. Pu Yao snorted. He did not respond to Zhuo. You only have to assign the daily affairs of Cloud Xijie to those local powers and get them to take care of it. If they do it well, reward them. If they don't, they get punished. Gather their powerful xiuzhe and make a battalion with your people as the leaders. Adding on your own battalions who can rebel. Zhuo slapped his head and understood. Pu Yao just used a few words and smoothed everything out, pointing straight at the crux of the matter. Zhuo wasn't stupid. He had been bewilderment because he never had experience dealing with these matters before. After being guided today, he instantly understood. He left the sea of consciousness with excitement. From beginning to end, there was a faint smile on Wei's face. It was unknown what he was thinking. Sherdong looked coldly at Yiling. Yiling was unaffected. Does Sherdong Darren have any questions? What you say is true. Sherdong coldly spat out, his hand on the mantis blade at his waist. Completely true. Yiling said sincerely. All of my subordinates saw Darren's great day emo physique. If Sherdong Darren has any questions, you can ask any one of them. Sherdong's expression did not change. His subordinates are xiuzhe. There are xiuzhe. Yiling corrected the mistake in Sherdong's words. Guard camp, which is the camp that my superior, Shulong Darren commands, cultivates MO skills. Sherdong Darren might have heard of the skill, hardship guard. Hardship guard. Sherdong's pupils suddenly contracted. Of course he had heard of this name. This MO skill was something usually cultivated by the guards of MO generals, and had an extremely high in reputation. Yes, it is the hardship guard that most MO generals' guards cultivate, Yiling said with a grave expression. But the hardship guard that Shulong Darren and his group cultivate has been modified by a very powerful Darren, and is based on the Great Day MO physique. It is called Great Day Hardship Guard. Sherdong could not stop himself from showing shock. A Darren that can use the Great Day MO physique to modify hardship guard. Could they possibly be xiuzhe? Yiling asked in response. Sherdong was silent. He knew that Yiling was correct. Someone that had the ability to use the Great Day MO physique to modify hardship guard was a powerful elder who definitely had a profound understanding of MO skills. This kind of powerful person would not likely be a xiuzhe. This didn't just mean they couldn't be xiuzhe, they also could not be Yao. There was only one possibility. It was a powerful MO, and an unusually powerful MO. Cultivates the Great Day MO physique, has created a MO army, and has a MO elder of immeasurable power. I cannot think of an identity for Darren other than MO. Yiling was calm and wise. Sherdong was silent for a moment before he asked. What about those xiuzhe? This is the xiuzhe world. Sherdong Darren. Yiling reminded Sherdong. A purely MO troop cannot survive here. Darren needs xiuzhe. Sherdong gave a bitter smile. He was persuaded. He sat down dejectedly. Yilong looked understandingly at Sherdong. He said gently, I know what Sherdong Darren is feeling. For you, surrendering is hard to accept, but if you look at it from the opposite angle, Sherdong Darren, isn't this a great opportunity? He looked hard at Sherdong and asked, emphasizing each word, Sherdong Darren, how many years has it been since there was a king arose from our little savage Jia? Sherdong's body shook. He raised his head, his gaze as sharp as a knife. You think he can become king? Maybe, maybe not. Yiling's tone was indifferent. But Darren is the MO with the greatest potential to become king that I have ever seen. So you gambled everything? Sherdong asked. His tone was filled with disdain. Yiling was unaffected and smiled as usual. What else do we have? Sherdong Darren? Sherdong became silent again. Chapter 521. Followers having solved his problems, Zuomo could finally release a breath. He began thinking about finding water cloud embryo for a Gui. A Gui's recovery was going well. Even though she was still very wooden, she had more reactions. In a few days, we can go to search for water cloud embryo. By that time, you will completely recover. Zuomo was very happy. If they found water cloud embryo, he could heal a Gui. Zuomo didn't feel any distaste for a Gui's ugly appearance. A slight smile was on his face. His hand felt coldness. A cold little hand grabbed his hand. A Gui was improving by the day. Every time she found Zuomo nearby, she would immediately appear next to Zuomo. The thing she liked to do the most was hold Zuomo's hand. Zuomo allowed her to grip his hand, his other hand rubbing her head. He said with a smile, "When you have healed, Silly Bird and the others will be very happy." In the corner, the fat Silly Bird was napping with her eyes closed. She didn't respond. Looking at the bird nest he created out of a Gui's hair, Zuomo couldn't help but roar with laughter. A Gui still stood silently next to Zuomo motionlessly. "Why are you sitting here? Do you have something on your mind?" Mingju's voice came from behind Nanyu. He walked next to Nanyu and sat down. In this recent while, everyone was training together. The hellish training and shared hardship had caused their friendships to strengthen. Just now when cultivating in the 10-finger prison, Puyao had viciously scolded Nanyu. When Nanyu left the 10-finger prison, she had ran out alone. Everyone was worried and sent Mingju, who was most skilled in communication, to comfort Nanyu. "Am I too dumb?" Nanyu's tone was melancholic. The rims of her eyes were red and her expression was sad. "I'm always unable to meet Pu Daren's expectations." Even the persistent Nanyu had been scolded to such a state. Mingyu was even more afraid of Puyao. "None of us can meet Pu Daren's expectations," Mingju comforted. "It is not that you are not working hard, it is that Pu Daren's requirements are too high. Really, not even the elites in the top Yao art houses can reach what Pu Daren is demanding. It is extremely good that you can do what you have done. Out of all of us, you have improved the quickest." Nanyu's lips were tightly pressed together, and she did not speak. "Pu Daren might be stern, but it is for our sake. Look at our present strength. Compared to before, which one of us hasn't multiplied in strength?" As he spoke, Mingju compared his past and present strength, and found to his shock that he had improved so much without noticing it. "I miss Daren." Nanyu's voice held a sob. "Daren is never like this." Thinking about the time that Zuomo had spent teaching her, Nanyu missed it. "Yes, I wonder what Daren is busy with." Mingju sighed as well. He gazed into the distance. "However, doesn't Pu Daren also work with Daren? Everyone is speculating. Pu Daren might be an elder of Daren's clan. I don't know what Daren's lineage is, but for his clan possess such a powerful elder, it might be one of the legendary great families. No matter what Daren's identity is, I am Daren's follower. I will forever follow Daren." Nanyu's tone was determined. "And same with me." Mingju retracted his cheer and showed a serious expression. Nanyu suddenly stood up. Her eyes were still red, but her expression became determined again. "What is it?" Mingju was slightly puzzled. "I am going to cultivate," Nanyu said without turning her head. "I am Daren's follower." The figure disappeared with the wind as she threw down the strong oath. Gu Minggong's eyes were swollen like 2 ripe peaches. He had not rested for 10 days and nights. Even a Jindan could not tolerate working conditions like this. Anyone who saw his figure right now would not be able to recognize him as the Grandmaster of Forging and Sealing, Gu Minggong. He stared at the sun seed in front of him. The first time he saw this, Gu Minggong had been so excited his body had been trembling. Treasure. Peerless treasure. When he learned that this was the seed produced by the Sunshin tree, a pleasure like that of an orgasm had risen in his body. Oh heavens! Sunshin tree, the legendary Sunshin tree. Hadn't it gone extinct a long time ago? When he learned he would be able to get a few to study, he felt so happy he almost fainted. There was nothing as powerful as legendary materials to a seal shio skilled in forging. Then he learned the other person's intentions. They just wanted him to engrave a transportation formation inside the sun seed. He almost went crazy. Transportation formation. What he said was a transportation formation. This kind of priceless treasure was being used for just a transportation formation? He almost threw the other out. He could not tolerate such frightening waste. However, the other quickly taught him what the outcome of being uncooperative was. The great boss personally ran over to persuade him and motivated him in a meaningful tone before leaving. The pitiful Gu Minggong was frightened out of his wits. Even though boss had not mentioned one word of the soul-setting divine light at all, and did not say what would happen if he did not cooperate, but Gu Minggong sank into unprecedented terror. He didn't dare to slack off in the slightest. So what if it was a waste? He was just the worker. He quickly found that this guy in black clothing, floated around like a ghost all day, was the strictest and most terrifying supervisor in the world. The situation was also more complex than he had imagined. The sun seed was extremely rare. He had never seen one before, and even the forging records had never mentioned the qualities of the sun seed. Gu Minggong had to start from the beginning. The sun seed was filled with the domineering Sunshin power. The Sunshin power had formed through a long time as the Sunshin tree grew, and was extremely domineering. Ling power would be consumed by the Sunshin power when it was added, and it was impossible to carve a formation inside. He ran to explain to Pu Yao and was verbally slapped and rebuked by Pu Yao. Pu Yao's viciousness could him that he only needed a result, etc., etc. The pitiful Gu Minggong had the desire to ram his head into the wall and commit suicide. It was a pity that when one landed in the hands of a demon, one was even unable to seek death. Gu Minggong that was slapped and could only study even more ferociously and try everything he could think of. Ha 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 ha. I did it. I did it. The insane laughter echoed in the room. Whoosh! Pu Yao appeared like a ghost. Without a word, he picked up the sun seed with great carefulness. To Pu Yao, the Sunshin power inside the sun seed was akin to a powerful poison. His consciousness retreated. Pu Yao showed joy and then disappeared soundlessly. The fighting in the Grey Clan's council meeting had not stopped since the meeting started. Song Zhe was silent in the corner. He didn't have any right to speak in this place. A hint of impatience flashed indiscernibly through his eyes at the elders fighting. He felt those noisy elders had gone senile with age. Without Darren, would there be the Grey Clan of the present? In the future? In these troubled times, how many of the small clans like the Grey Clan could survive? Did they still think that this was the safe rear that the fires of war could not reach? Right now, was there still a rear? Clans without combat capabilities were like a piece of fat meat. No one would hesitate to leap and take a bite. Pu Darren had been helping everyone train the battalion. The Grey Clan that only thought about protecting themselves were too stupid. He was Darren's follower. Song Ze's spine was straight as he listened expressionlessly to the discussions of the elders. The chief elder noticed Song Ze's discontentment. His mind shifted and he suddenly spoke. Aze, what do you think about moving the clan? An elder said discontentedly. Chief elder, Aze is so young, what does he understand? A cold light flashed through chief elder's eyes, and he interrupted in a grave voice. Shut your mouth. Aze is the future clan leader. When you speak, use your mind. The elder retreated with a red face. Chief elder was extremely authoritative and influential. Song Zhe was the appointed successor to the Grey Clan, so everyone's gaze instantly landed on Song Zhe. Song Zhe did not shrink back. He did not look at the elders and said directly, I am Darren's follower. No matter where Darren goes, I will follow. Everyone stilled. They finally recalled the matter that Aze was Xiao Moge's follower. In the Yao world, they put great importance on the oath of a follower. Becoming the follower of someone strong was the dream of many people. Not many would easily go back on their word. Chief Elder also knew the displeasure Aze was feeling. He said with a smile, Aze, continue. Song Zhe suddenly swept tall of the elders with his gaze and said gravely, Elders, are we safe? Is the world safe? Are we strong? Strong enough that no matter what comes, we can protect ourselves? The room was silent. We do not have a battalion, we do not have battle generals, even with the Grey Scar art. We have no ability to protect ourselves. And then? We will be swallowed by other people. Our Grey Clan's greatest secret, the Grey Scar art, will land in the hands of others. Our enemies would not surrender such a good chance. Song Zhe stated this cruel reality without any courtesy. Will Darren swallow us? Will Darren need our gray scar art? Elders, did you forget where this gray scar art came from? What is safer than being under the command of a peerless battle general that could defeat Corps Commander Yu Heng? This is an honor. Heat flashed through Song Zhe's eyes. All of the elders shifted. After a moment of silence, the chief elder did not disguise the praise on his face and said, I hadn't expected that our group of old people do not see as clearly as the young one as they. Those elders that had been objecting to moving the clan all had shamed expressions. Sky-splitting calamity. The sky-splitting calamity. Chief Elder's heavy sigh echoed in the room. I don't know how much blood will flow because of this. Everyone, do not dream and be foolishness, troubled times have come. Everyone had grave expressions. They digested what Chief Elder was saying. Chief Elder suddenly stood up. With a serious expression he said loudly, in such troubled times, if our Grey clan is to survive, we need a stronger leader. Due to this, I recommend a Zhe as the new clan leader. Song Zhe shouted in shock. Moments later, I second this. Seconded. I agree. A new era had arrived. Chapter 522, Beak Island. When Nan Yu and the others saw Zhuemo, their expressions were spectacular. Even though they knew that Darren was young, the shock when they saw him with their own eyes far surpassed what they felt in the Ten-Finger Prison. What shocked them even more was that Darren was in the Xiuzhi territories. They finally understood why Darren had them change their appearances to look like Xiuzhi when they came through the transportation formation. However, just like Yi Ling, Nan Yu and the others did not have any doubts about Zhuemo's identity as a Yao despite their shock of where they were. A guy that knew all kinds of lost Yao arts, successfully completed a prison-breaking battle, and defeated Corps Commander Yu Heng. Other than a Yao, what could he be? Xiuzhi? That joke would be so bad. On this point, their thoughts were also the same as Yi Ling. They felt that Darren was definitely a genius from a noble family that was lost in the Xiuzhi-conquered territories. No wonder no one in the Yao world had found Darren. They finally realized. Darren wasn't in the Yao world at all. Right now, Zhuemo was truly the master of Cloud Xijia in name and power. There were many Cloud Islands in Cloud Xijia, and he picked a calm Cloud Island to settle the Grey family. The first day that Nan Yu and the others arrived, Pu Yao immediately started arranging a new training regime for them. Pu Yao was full of ambition. As one of the top battle generals of the Yao world, someone that had once dominated the world, he decided to make Nan Yu and the others into the best battle generals of the Yao world. He decided to let Wei realize the truth. Why little Wei could only be a gravestone armor, and I, Pu, had been the best battle general once. The pitiful Nan Yu and others didn't even have the chance to breathe before Pu Yao kicked them into insane training routines. There was a boundary of Jinji set up around the Cloud Island. It was a natural demonic training ground. After Zhuemo recruited the other powers, Cloud Xijia quickly settled down. The ones selected were those with good reputations in Cloud Xijia. The only two Yuanying that Cloud Xijia had seemed to have disappeared from the world after streaking naked in front of the public at the Sun Shin Temple. They hadn't shown up at all when the Mo army had invaded this time. Many people speculated that they had left Cloud Xijia long ago. They really had been greatly embarrassed this time. What face did they have to stay in Cloud Xijia? After arranging everything, Zhuemo decided to enter the Cloud Sea to search for Water Cloud Embryo. This time, he did not take many people along. The Cloud Sea depths were not suited for large-scale battles. Their group was made up of a guide, Zhuemo, Weisheng, Zhongru, Agui, and the little ones. They looked more like a tourist group. Even though they were few in number, their combat capabilities were amongst the top in Cloud Xijia. Zhuemo, Weisheng, and Zhongru working together might hold up against a Yuanying. Zhuemo had not planned to take Agui along, but Pu Yao told him that it was most effective to consume the Water Cloud Embryo when it was caught, so Zhuemo decided to take Agui along. Silly Bird stalked imperiously and proudly beside Agui, and ignored Zhuemo. Lil Pagoda and Lil Fire were cuddled up in Agui's embrace. Lil Black held onto Agui's hair in a death grip. 10th Grade and Sunshine appeared to be bodyguards and flew around Agui. Zuemo felt great exasperation. In terms of shamelessness and wretchedness, the little ones that Zuemo taught truly learned it all. Zuemo didn't have a solution. In any case, taking one or taking all of them along was the same. He changed his way of thinking. They were pretty good fighters. Nothing needed to be said of Silly Bird. She was the strongest of the little ones. Even Zuemo didn't have a good measure of her abilities. The next strongest was 10th grade. He had made trouble for the insects frequently, and his skill had completely changed. Lil Pagoda was Zuemo's soul-tethered talisman. It played every day and never did anything productive. It could probably only be used when setting up formations. Zuemo had not seen Sunshine fight before. Lil Black's combat abilities were 0, but he was a good helper when finding treasure. Lil Fire could be used to relieve boredom on the road. Zuemo brought along his group and departed. The guide was called Kongda. He made a living by hunting water cloud embryos, and was very familiar with the depths of the cloud sea. According to Kongda's plans, they first needed to fly to a place called Beak Island, and then descend into the Cloud Sea from there. Beak Island was a very famous Cloud Sea port in Cloud Sea Jia. The depths of the Cloud Sea were filled with all kinds of dangers. If one tried entering from a random spot, they frequently did not return. Beak Island had been used as an entrance to the Cloud Sea for a very long time. That part of the Cloud Sea was very safe and there were no strong beings. The distance between Turtle Island and Beak Island was extremely far, and there were many parts of the trip that did not have transportation formations. Fully prepared, Zuemo had taken along the black turtle, which saved them the pain of having to flying long distances. Wei Sheng and Zhongru were in seclusion every day. Zuemo played with the little ones every day, and when he had the spare time, he would slowly study the golden leaf he obtained from the Sun Shen tribe. He didn't know what secret method had been used to make this golden leaf. The content on it was extremely rich, but because it was from the ancient era, there were many areas that were very hard to understand. Zuemo's attitude was very good. He was not impatient and only studied it occasionally. Other than the methods to cultivate Shen power, he was also interested in the ancient secrets. For example, he found out from the golden leaf that in the ancient era Cloud Sea Jia had been barren, and there were no other tribes living here. This was probably the reason that this Shen temple had managed to survive. What stirred Zuemo's interest was that the golden leaf hinted that the Shen temple had been searching for something constantly in Cloud Sea Jia, but never found it. Zuemo finally understood, and some of his own questions were resolved. Big Brother Qinling had once said that the level of this Shen temple was not ranked low within the Sun tribe. Shouldn't such a high-ranking Shen temple be constructed in a large and populated area? Why did they build it in the remote and barren Cloud Sea Jia? But the golden leaf did not mention what they were searching for. However, it was certain that they did not find it because the tone of the records was slightly regretful. Zuemo never stopped cultivating his Shen power, but his progress was extremely slow. It was much harder to cultivate Shen power compared to the 3 powers. Fortunately, Zuemo was not in a hurry. The only thing that made him slightly dejected was that after the 3 powers equalized and his Ling power had increased, but he was still a threat away from Jindan. If he could break through to Jindan, his power would multiple in the span of one night. His Shen power would increase as well, and enter a new realm. However, Zuemo was very content at this time. Shen power, soul-setting divine light, great Daemo physique, and the archaic wasteland sacrificial art. Which of these was not powerful and unique? He was able to learn all these. What could he be discontent about? A person could not be so greedy. Zuemo was idle and satisfied. Half a month later, they finally reached Beak Island. Zuemo looked at the large numbers of Xiozha on Beak Island, and was slightly shocked. So many people? Kongda explained, this is the best time to search for water cloud embryos, and is also when Beak Island is most popular. Whether the yearly harvest is good or not depends on your luck during this time. These people are all searching for water cloud embryos? Zuemo was so shocked his chin was almost on the ground. The great majority are. The Cloud Sea has other products, but this period of time it is most profitable to hunt water cloud embryo. Kongda was clearly very familiar with the present situation. High demand, low supply. Wouldn't it be difficult for us? Zuemo frowned slightly. Kongda shook his head. How can it be so easy to capture a water cloud embryo? Island Master, do not worry. You see many people, but the number that will gain something will be very small. They are also not very strong and cannot go deep into the cloud sea. The best quality water cloud embryos are deep in the cloud sea. Zhuomo's heart was slightly reassured. Zhuomo's group had changed their appearances so no one recognized them. But Lil Pagoda and the others attracted the attention of these Xiuzha. The heat and greed in their eyes caused Zhuomo to frown slightly. Brother, are you selling this fireling beast? We can negotiate the price. An eagle-nosed man came over. From nearby, his compatriots looked over. Lil Fire jumped in fright and burrowed into Agui's arms. Lil Fire's intelligent response caused this eagle-nosed male's gaze to heat up. No. Zhuomo's face darkened as he walked ahead. Hey, don't go. The eagle-nosed male blocked Zhuomo and said with a smile. This little brother really wants it and is definitely sincere. Brother, give a price, we can negotiate. Kongda suddenly spoke. He family brothers, my Darren has said we are not selling, do not keep bothering us. The eagle-nosed male's eyes narrowed slightly and flashed. Someone that can identify of this one's origins should be someone familiar. Ye Weiss eyes are stupid. Sir, who are you? Kongda smirked coldly. Don't bother trying to find out my identity. Let me advise you, be good. Otherwise, humph, none of your brothers will be able to escape. This was slightly troublesome. Ye Weiss' heart shook. Someone that could identify his origins was definitely someone familiar. The other's tone was so harsh he clearly had a powerful background and didn't need to consider him. Ye Wei was experienced and knew when to bow. He smiled and said, Brother, what are you saying? This little brother came up to ask and does not have malicious intentions. He perceptively stepped out of the way. He watched as Zhuomo's group left and thought hard. Who was this? His brothers quickly came over. How is it? Are they not selling? No. Ye Wei's expression was solemn. And one of them recognizes us. It definitely is someone familiar, but they have changed their appearance. Who cares, just steal it. That fireling beast is definitely very high grade. If we can get it, second brother, your strength will multiply. One of the people said nonchalantly. This group's origins are not simple. If they are not rich, they are powerful. Ye Wei thought back to the meeting and felt the other was calm, and clearly did not think highly of them. He shook his head and said, this group might be from a large faction. Let's not cause trouble. The other people all had unconcerned expressions. The geography of Beak Island was extremely unique. It appeared as though a bird was opening its mouth facing the sky. The entrance to the cloud sea was where the mouth was open. There was almost no cloud mist at the entrance. Looking down, it was possible to see an endless path that disappeared into the cloud sea. Beak Island was actually a mountain peak that had a section above the cloud sea. Darren, let's go down, Kongda said respectfully. Chapter 523. Xiankong Temple. Zhuomo and the others did not pay attention to the He brothers. Even Kongda did not keep them in mind. Beside him was the true master of Cloud Sea Jia. People like the He brothers were not worth a mention. As they descended into the cloud sea, the light gradually dimmed. The thick cloud sea blocked most of the sunlight, but this was not as dark as Zhuomo had imagined. There were many cloud grasses floating in the cloud layers, and each released faint light that illuminated the world below the cloud sea. Kongda saw Zhuomo and the others curiously examining the cloud grasses and hurriedly explained. This place is a great producer of cloud grasses. The quality is very good, and occasionally, merchants from the outside will come and buy them. However, this is worthless locally. What is the use for this? Zhuomo asked curiously. It was the first time he saw cloud grasses. These cloud grasses were shaped like sea grasses. The blades had the thickness of a pinky, completely white, and would release faint light. The individual bushes were about the size of a basket, and it was possible to occasionally see enormous ones that were multiple zhang in area. They can be used to forge water element Ling Dan, but only first grade, Kongda said. Those that aren't strong wouldn't dare to come down. Those that are strong do not care about these cloud grasses. These cloud grasses reproduce extremely quickly, and can be found everywhere. Zhuomo understood. Everyone walked down. This mountain path was misty, but the mist was thin. Under the cloud sea, what is most common is all kinds of cloud beasts. There are many people that come to hunt cloud beasts. Cloud beasts are water-oriented, and many people like them. But to get high-grade ones, they need to go deep into the cloud sea. Zhuo asked curiously, what qualities of the cloud beasts are outstanding? Being of the water element, their most powerful ability is their illusory spells. Since their body is formed from cloud mist, unless one encounters fire spells, other spells cannot inflict major damage. Kongda was clearly familiar with this area, and his words flowed without needing to think. How long has old Kong been here? Weisheng asked Kongda. Kongda couldn't help but sigh. More than a decade. Actually, there are several other entrances to the cloud sea other than this one, but this is the most famous one. Consequently, this place has the most xiuzha making a living here. Weisheng smiled. He had endured poverty before, but his heart was dedicated to the sword. The hardships of life did not leave any mark behind, and he naturally did not feel anything. Zhuo couldn't help but think back to his time at Wukong Mountain when he fought every day for each piece of Jingshi. He instantly felt sympathy. Seeing Kongda's expression was slightly heavy, Zhuo hurriedly changed the topic. He said with a smile, those who have not come down definitely could not imagine that the scenery down here is very good. The faint cloud mist was like silk. The cloud grasses floating in the cloud sea slowly swayed with the cloud sea. Haha, Darren has good taste. But the scenery later will be even better. Kongda laughed openly. As Kongda said, the scenery below was even more beautiful. After walking for 4 whole hours, their field of view suddenly broadened. They had passed through the thick cloud sea. The thick cloud sea slowly rippled above their heads and countless cloud grasses drooped down from the cloud sea. These cloud grasses were extremely large, all of them multiple mu in area. The blades that dangled down were dozens of zhang in length. Looking from afar, the cloud sea was a curved ceiling, and the drooping cloud grasses were like densely packed waterfalls of light. The scenery was spectacular and endless. It's so beautiful. Zhuo was astounded. Weisheng and Zhongru were also shocked by the spectacular scene in front of them. Lil Pagoda and the others instantly became excited and flew around a gui. Lil Fire was so excited it started to chirp. Kongda smiled slightly. He was used to the scene in front of him, and had become habituated to it a long time ago. The xiuzha that walked past them all smiled. Every greenhorn that entered the deep of the cloud sea for the first time would have this expression. There was a constant flow of xiuzha passing by. Everyone hoped to get something early. The price of the first batch of cloud beasts and water cloud embryo was usually the highest of the year. At this time, Zhongru, whose eyes had been closed all this time, suddenly made a sound and turned his head slightly. Several Diana Xiu attracted his attention. The leader was one wearing purple Diana robes. He had white brows and hair, and had an extraordinary mannerism. Behind him were 3 Diana Xiu in blue robes who were all very young. These Diana Xiu also noticed Zhongru. The purple-robed Diana Xiu's eyes flashed. He did not speak, but his palms came together as he bowed towards Zhongru. Zhongru's eyes were still closed, but a warm smile came onto his face. He also returned the greeting with his palms together. Noticing Zhongru's action, Weisheng looked over. The other also noticed Weisheng. A thread of shock flashed across the purple-robed Diana Xiu again, but his expression did not change. With a harmonious air, he bowed towards Weisheng. Weisheng did not speak and bowed slightly in acknowledgement. From beginning to end, the two sides did not speak, but a strange exchange had occurred between the two sides. Only when the other had gone far away did Zhongru and Weisheng take their eyes away. These people are not simple, Weisheng said in a deep voice. The Diana Xiu in purple robes is very powerful, and possibly a Yuanying. Even if he isn't far from becoming one. Zhongru nodded and agreed. They should be from one of the great temples. We can ask Yizheng. He should know. Zhuo, who had been wandering in his thoughts, finally focused. Seeing the two acting as though they were facing a great enemy, he couldn't help but inquire. The two narrated what just occurred. Zhuo thought and then decided to go ask Yizheng. Kongda hadn't planned on talking, but he still couldn't help but say, Darren, the cloud sea is thick. Paper cranes and normal flying swords cannot be used here, and cannot deliver messages to the outside. Zhuemo waved his hand and said, "No worries, I have my ways." Zhongru casted a small illusory spell which projected the appearances of the Diana Xiao. Zhuemo memorized it, and then entered the sea of consciousness. Other people could not use paper cranes, but he could go through Pu Yao and pass the message out. But he hadn't expected Pu Yao to snort when he saw the people and said, "There's no need to ask other people, I know their origins." Zhuemo said suspiciously, "You know?" Pu Yao smirked coldly. "We fought so long in the past, it's impossible for me not to recognize them. They are Baldies from Xiankong Temple. You better be careful." Xiankong Temple? Zhuemo almost shouted. The biggest powers in the Xiuzhi world were the four realms Kunlun, Tianhuan, Xixian, and Xiankong. Xiankong realm was the holy land of the Diana Xiao, and the gathering place of all the famed temples in the world. Xiankong Temple was also the leader of all the temples in the world. Yizheng's Great Buddha Temple might also be one of the 10 great temples, but compared to Xiankong Temple, they were not in the same class. You better not encounter the Baldies of Xiankong Temple. Otherwise The bloody sea of Pu Yao's red eye roiled. Zhuemo was frightened by Pu Yao's vicious expression. He hadn't seen Pu Yao act like this when it was Kunlun. Are they more powerful than Kunlun? More powerful than Kunlun? Not that powerful, Pu Yao said coldly. Kunlun is the top in fighting power, but none are more powerful than the Baldies in dragging people down. The Baldies are motherfucking fanatics that do not fear death. There was one battle in the past when the Baldies wanted to exterminate us evil Yaoma, and 60 Yuanying committed suicide by exploding. If it wasn't Lousy that noticed something was wrong, we would have fell for it, and been blasted to pieces. Exploded 60 Yuanying. Zhuemo stammered. He was unable to talk smoothly. This secret piece of information was so shocking he lost the ability to think. 60 Yuanying collectively exploding themselves. How crazy would they have to be to do that? 1 Yuanying from Tianhuan was enough to cause chaos in Cloud Sijia. 60 Yuanying. When Zhuemo came out of the sea of consciousness, Zhongru and Weisheng looked at him. They had noticed Zhuemo's terrible expression long ago. Zhuemo opened his eyes and said in a dry voice, "They are from Xiankong Temple." Xiankong Temple? Weisheng and Zhongru inhaled sharply. Kong Des' expression instantly turned ashen. Xiankong Temple. The leader of all Diana Xiao, one of the 4 great sects in the world. Why have they come here? Weisheng's sword heart was like stone and he quickly calmed down. Zhongru's samadhi was also extremely high. His mind shook, and then he recovered his calmness. Zhuemo also recovered his calm. So what if it was Xiankong Temple? Hadn't he managed to trick the elder from Tianhuan? He had been frightened by the simultaneous suicide explosion of 60 Yuanying that Pu Yao had mentioned. He turned around his thinking. He was just a little character. They wouldn't give him such a grand treatment. He suddenly thought of something. He had to tell Guard Camp, Grey Camp, Nan Yu and the others to not show themselves in the short term. If the group of fanatics really caught them, they would definitely try to exterminate and kill Yaoma. Pu Yao was extremely dissatisfied with this action of retreating, but he also knew there was no chance of victory if he had Zhuemo face Xiankong Temple at this time. Wei held a slight smile as he watched Pu Yao and Zhuemo fight. But from any angle, it seemed that he was laughing at Pu Yao. After sending out the orders, Zhuemo saw the terror in Kong Des' eyes and his ashen complexion. He hurriedly comforted. "Let's go, don't bother with them. The Cloud Sea is so large, and everyone has their own aims. We want to encounter them." Kong Des' complexion finally improved. He felt that the words were right. He knew just how large the Cloud Sea was. How likely would it be that they encountered each other and competed over the same item? However, after this incident, Zhuemo lost all of his interest. The beautiful and vast scenery instantly became tasteless. The Cloud Sea is endless and there are many paths. If it is someone who is unfamiliar, they would definitely get lost. The cloud over Kong Des' mind gradually dissipated. Even though everyone was coming down from Beak Island, but the possibility of encountering each other was pitifully small. Zhuemo swept the surroundings and suddenly asked, Why is no one flying? Kongda hurriedly explained. The Cloud Sea is different than other places. It is best not to fly in here. The Ling power vibrations can easily attract the attention of many cloud beasts that hide in the cloud layer. At the beginning, many people thought they were powerful and just charged recklessly through, but they never came out in the end. After such a long time, no one dared to fly in there. So that's why. Zuemo finally understood. Fortunately, everyone was of deep cultivation. Walking was not a problem. After walking down for several hours, the cloud layer above their heads that was filled with cloud grasses became further away. Some cloud mist appeared along the road. The cloud mist was extremely unique. It was gathered and did not dissipate. Even when the wind blew past, it did not move at all. Little paths flickered in and out of view between the cloud mists, as though there were complex spider webs spreading into the cloud mist. Chapter 524. Omen. Looking at the little path that was leading into the Cloud Sea, Zuemo released a breath for some unknown reason. Truthfully, the suddenly appearance of the Xiankong Temple's Diana Xiao gave him enormous pressure. Anything that could attract Sukong Temple's Diana Xiao was not going to be anything normal. Zuemo wasn't interested at all. He just didn't want anything to happen as he tried to heal a Gue. There are so many divergent paths, you know all of them? Zuemo asked Kongda in curiosity. There were hundreds of these little paths that crisscrossed and confused the eyes. Darren, don't worry, this subordinate has been hunting here for over a decade, and won't walk wrong even with my eyes closed, Kongda said proudly. He then introduced, these little paths might look complex, but if one goes through a few times, they can learn them. Starting from here, we will enter the true Cloud Sea. The cloud mist here is not thick. The deeper we go down, the thicker it becomes. Kongda led the group at the front. They walked onto a curved little path, and quickly disappeared in the Cloud Sea. Shirshu, are those people suspicious? Ming Jing asked probingly. Of the three young disciples, his mind was the nimblest and he noticed Shisha's abnormalness. Puya was correct. These people were Diana Xiao from Xiankong Temple. The white-browed purple-robed Diana Xiao was called Dingzhen, and the disciples in blue robes were third-generation disciples. Dingzhen had come out with these disciples for them to gain experience. Along the way, they had received a message from the sect leader and turned to Cloud Sijia. Dingzhen nodded. That Diana Xiao is from an unknown sect. He actually possesses wish power. It really is rare. Wish power. The three disciples stammered, their face filled with belief. The Diana Xiao that they had seen didn't appear much older than them. He also did not look special. Wish power was one of the rarest powers of all the Diana Xiao powers. The three of them were among the top ranks of the young disciples of Xiankong Temple, and naturally knew what wish power meant. The number of people Xiankong Temple, the greatest temple in the world, who possess wish power could be counted on the fingers. There are always better people. The world outside is filled with hidden dragons and crouching tigers. Dingzhen glanced at the trio. Also, that Sword Xiao's sword essence is so pure and condensed that I have only seen such a thing before on a few Korenluan disciples. If you encounter him, do not be careless. The other disciple reacted the quickest. Shirshu, could they be disciples from Korenluan? Not Korenluan. Dingzhen shook his head. The sword essence of Korenluan does not feel like this. The expressions of the three disciples relaxed. It was good that it was not Korenluan. Korenluan had dominated the top position of the four-realm heaven for thousands of years. Even disciples of Xiankong Temple were not willing to encounter Korenlung disciples. The four great sects fought openly and in the shadows, but there were rarely any direct conflicts. All of them were colossal beings. If fighting really started, it could not easily end. As long as those were not disciples of the other three sects, they didn't feel the need for any consideration. The enemies they were wary of and would treat equally were only disciples of the four great sects, people that were on the same level as themselves. Seeing the unconcerned expression on the faces of the three disciples, Dingzhen shook his head inside. But when he recalled how he had been similarly proud when he was young, he smiled and let it pass. The disciples of Xiankong Temple had the right to be proud. Along the way, Kongda chatted about all the strange tales and rumors of the Cloud Sea. His oratory skills were not good, but he was very experienced and knew many details. Zuomo's group listened attentively. This trip took a day and night before the cloud mist started to become thick enough to obscure their vision. The pure white mist that seemed like cotton almost filled all of their vision. Little paths flickered in and out of the view in this cloud mist. If they were not careful and wandered off into the cloud mist, they would lose their direction. Then it would really be dangerous. Zuomo curiously examined the cloud mist floating in the air. These cloud mists were in the air, but they did not float everywhere. These little paths were very fine, but there wasn't any mist on the path. Zuomo asked Kongda about this. Kongda scratched his head. Darren, this subordinate has never thought about this. This subordinate has been here for over a decade. Even though the cloud mists will change annually, but these little paths rarely change. Would there be any dangers here? Zuomo asked. There are rarely any dangers in this area. Xiozha frequently come through here, so cloud beasts and other things have been cleaned out, Kongda said. As Kongda finished speaking, Zhongru, who was walking in the rear of the group, with his eyes closed, suddenly made a sound and stopped walking. A cold light flashed through Zuomo and Wei Sheng's eyes. They instantly stopped moving and held themselves warily. Kongda was extremely confused. Something is nearing us, Zhongru said in a low voice. Zhongru's samadhi deepened, and his sixth sense was extremely sensitive. Unless Zuomo expanded his consciousness, he was not a match for Zhongru. However, Zuomo and Wei Sheng were powerful people. At almost the same moment Zhongru spoke, they had also detected danger. Wei Sheng held his black sword in his hand. Zuomo's Shen power turned into the three powers, and was held in waiting. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Several white mist arrows suddenly shot out of the cloud mist with tearing sounds. Zuomo's movements were extremely rapid. His consciousness shifted and several ice mirrors were cast. Ever since he listened to Kongda speak about the unique qualities of the cloud best hears, Zuomo felt that Yao arts were more suited to the cloud sea. Ice mirror was a kind of little Yao art. When Zuomo used it, it was so fast people could not catch it. Bam bam bam. The ice mirrors shattered and a cold energy spread in the air. Several white shadows that charged out of the cloud mist instantly froze as their bodies entered the cold energy. Inside the cold energy were three cloud beasts that were shaped like squirrels. Their body was frozen by the cold energy into ice, and they still maintained their charging position. They were transparent and glowed like ice statues. Their faint blue eyes were beautiful. Bam bam bam. They crashed onto the ground and instantly shattered into a pile of ice. The ice quickly melted into water, and then dissipated into cloud mist to disappear. Cloud mice. Kongda's expression was shocked as he murmured to himself. No. How can there be cloud mice here? Hearing this, Zuomo's brow furrowed. You are saying these things should not appear here? Kongda refocused and hurriedly said. Yes, Darren. Cloud mice are very sensitive to the movements of Xiozha, and usually live deep in the cloud sea where there are no people. Also, he halted. Also what? Zuomo asked in a deep voice. Cloud mice would rarely attack Xiozha proactively. Kongda's expression was not well. Cloud mice are very gentle and their temperament makes them suited to be pets. Female Xiozha often like them. It is the first time that this subordinate has seen cloud mice attack Xiozha unprovoked. State your point. Zuomo saw Kongda hesitating and his face darkened. Kongda gritted his teeth and stated his speculation. This subordinate thinks that something might have happened deep in the cloud sea, so these cloud mice are acting. I understand. We will be careful and take precautions for our safety. Zuomo understood what Kongda meant, but he was definitely unwilling to go back like this. Before departing, he had made the decision to find a water cloud embryo. This matter did not just concern Gue, but also his birth and origins. He had a strong feeling that the relationship between he and Gue was definitely not simple. Zuomo had prepared fully for this trip. He had asked Gu Minggong for several transportation seals, and he was not afraid of encountering danger. Seeing Zuomo's determined attitude, Kongda could not do a thing. The other person was his boss. Shirshu, something's not right. Mingjing's expression was not well. They had encountered several waves of attack. He felt a threat of uncertainty. Mingjing had come to the cloud sea to hunt cloud beasts before, and was not unfamiliar with this place. The unusual situation was clearly a sign of something wrong. What is not right? Ding Zhen asked. This disciple has come to the Cloud Sea before. These cloud mice are fearful of people and would never attack Xiuzhe first. Right now, they are so restless. This disciple suspects that something under has changed. Ming Jing carefully responded. A change? A light suddenly flashed through Ding Jing's indifferent eyes. He seemed slightly excited as he looked towards the depths of the Cloud Sea. Ming Jing jumped in fright at Ding Jing Shish's burning gaze. It was the first time he saw such a gaze from the composed and indifferent Ding Zhen Shirshu. Was there? His mind suddenly shifted as he recalled Ding Zhen Shirshu having received a message from the sect leader in the middle of their journey. Ding Zhen Shirshu immediately had hurried to Cloud Sijia by traveling day and night. Was there something that the sect leaders cared about that was hiding in the depths of the Cloud Sea? Ding Zhen glanced at Ming Jing. Ming Jing's heart jumped. Shish's gaze was as sharp as a sword and seemed to pierce to the bottom of his heart. Let's go. Ding Zhen's expression became aloof again as he started to walk deeper into the Cloud Sea. Li Shu's mood was terrible. The mission of the Sun Shen Temple had failed. Even though the sect leader did not punish him, but thinking about what he had lost, there seemed to be a fire burning inside of him. The invasion of the Mo army and the news that Turtle Island had instantly taken over all of Cloud Sijia had also arrived in his ears. Turtle Island's power shocked him again. To be able to win against a Mo army, even a normal Mo army, Turtle Island was more powerful than they appeared. They had disguised themselves so well that he had not discovered their true strength. It was a pity that the sect had no interest in Cloud Sijia after the Sun Shen Temple. Chaos rifts were continuously appearing in the Jies governed by Tian Huan. Several small-scale Yaoma battalions had been discovered in several Jie, and the strength the sect had to spare for minor endeavors had instantly become limited. This was to the point that the number of battalions sent to the front lines had dramatically decreased. If their homeland was invaded by the Yaoma, there would not be any value in guarding the front line. Jingshi materials, ling grains and etc. Every kind of resource supply was having problems. These were all major problems. Elder Shen was sent to the front lines, and Li Shu received orders to go to a place called Tongyu Jie to assist the local battalion, because they had discovered a small Yaoma battalion there. Tongyu Jie was the producer of the Ling Jade, which was important to Tian Huan. Ling Jade was a very important raw material for forging seals. The importance of Tongyu Jie to Tian Huan did not need to be said. In comparison, the remote Cloud Sea Jie that did not produce anything significant and wasn't worth a mention. Chapter 525. Cloud crystal mist flow. In the 7 days and nights they advanced through the mist. The coldness inside the cloud mist increased. Everyone had to channel Ling power to withstand the cold energy. Zhua Mo and the others finally understood why only those Jindan and above dared to enter the deepest reaches of the Cloud Sea. This coldness alone was not something those below Jindan could withstand. Zhua Mo had the Great Day Banded Flame, and the precious treasure of the Sun Crystal Seed. The coldness did not affect him at all. What shocked him was that the little ones, each played happily and were extremely lively. Even Lil Fire, whom he had thought would not be able to persist, didn't seem uncomfortable at all in the coldness. They occasionally encountered some cloud beasts along the way, but fortunately, they did not encounter cloud beasts that were too powerful. Kong Des' expression was full of worry. The abnormality of the Cloud Sea caused him to feel extremely unsafe. Darren, the Cloud River is up ahead. Kong Des' expression lightened. Past the Cloud River, we can find water cloud embryos. This sentence caused morale to rise, and the group accelerated forward. Soon later, a large river appeared in their field of view, but when their eyes landed on the Cloud River, they all stilled. Kong Des suddenly became overjoyed and exclaimed, "Cloud crystal mist flow! How can there be cloud crystal mist flow at this season?" There wasn't any cloud mist on the surface of the river, yet what was flowing inside the river was not river water, but densely packed ice crystals. These ice crystals were each the size of an egg and were rhomboid. It was clear and transparent, and there was a small ball of cloud mist which slowly flowed inside each rhombus. When the wide river surface that was tens of li in expanse were filled with this kind of ice crystal, Countless rays of lights reflected and was dazzling. Zhuamo raised his hand, and an ice crystal flew into Zhuamo's hand. Strangely, once the ice crystal left the river, it quickly melted into a thread of cloud mist that disappeared into the air. Wei Sheng and Zhongru had never seen this before and tried to grab the ice crystals as well. Wei Sheng made a light sound of surprise. Such heavy coldness. Kong De said with a smile. The cloud mist would condense into a flow of water and gather in the cloud river. Every decade, a cold flow would come. When the coldness invaded the cloud river, it would form the cloud crystal mist flow. The little ball of cloud mist inside these ice crystals are the purest of cloud essence, and is something great for forging. Every time the cloud crystal mist flow appears, there would be troops of Xiuzha that come here to harvest the cloud essence. We are very fortunate to encounter this. Zhuamo found that many Xiuzha had appeared on the shores of the river. Each person's face was full of joy as they used all the talismans they had to gather cloud essence. Kong De took out a jade bottle and started to carefully gather cloud essence. Zhuamo snickered and said, "We cannot enter a treasure mountain and leave empty-handed." Finishing saying this, hundreds of jade bottles and boxes appeared in front of him. Wei Sheng and Zhongru also started to harvest. If cloud essence was forged into flying swords, the flying sword would become more nimble and quick. Wei Sheng threw the black sword into the air. The black sword hummed lightly, and then suddenly produced a strong suction. Like a whale, it sucked in ice crystals. When the ice crystals left the river, they quickly melted, and then the thread of cloud essence was sucked into the black sword before it could dissipate. Zhongru activated his attainment golden body. When the enormous golden figure appeared, a faint and authoritative dhyana presence spread. A blurry bottle suddenly appeared in one of the hands of the mountainous golden body. The mouth of the bottle was pointed towards the river, and countless ice crystals flowed into the bottle like birds returning to their nest. In comparison to the other two, Zhuamo was lacking. Even though his efficiency was high and he filled up all of his jade boxes and bottles, he still was not satisfied. His eyes turned and then he suddenly thought of the Yin Fire Bead chapter. Didn't this cloud essence belong to the Yin? He then tried to cast the spell of the Yin bead, and motioned at the cloud river. Bam! Hundreds of ice crystals in the river suddenly exploded. The threads of cloud essence were like a barrage of rain that shot into Zhuamo's hands and gathered into a thumb-sized bead. This bead was round and glowing as though it was carved out of crystal. What was most marvelous was that there was a faint cloudy mist floating around it that made it very beautiful. Zhuamo saw that this method was workable and he laughed. He became even more motivated. Lil Pagoda laboriously flapped its eaves to absorb cloud essence. In Zhuamo's eyes, the Xiuzha that had forged Lil Pagodas was creative, but his method had been very primitive and crude. The reason that Lil Pagoda was able to reach this level was completely through relying on piles of talismans and rare materials. Gold, wood, water, fire, earth were the 5 levels of the pagoda. Zhuamo had put the 6th grade jade hook tree on the wood level, and Zhuamo's unique Great Day Banded Flame was on the fire level. The gold level was filled with vast amounts of gold crystal sand. Now they had coincidentally encountered the cloud crystal mist flow. It was definitely a 1 in 1,000 opportunity. As the cloud essence continuously flowed into Lil Pagoda's body, its dim water level slowly lit up, and then exuded faint cloud mist. The Xiuzha on the river shores were disturbed by the noise going on over at Zhuamo's side, and gave respectful and awed looks. Attainment golden body. Ding Zhen's eyes suddenly became bright. The figure behind Zhong Ru's back was blurry, but it was the dignified golden body. His shock overtook his ability to speak and he was silent for a while. Shirshu, what is the attainment golden body? Ming Jing was astounded. What could cause Shirshu to lose his composure? The other 2 people also stopped what they were doing. I hadn't expected that it was the attainment golden body. Ding Zhen forced a calm smile. It is a wondrous dhyana scripture. Ever since the 1,000-year battle, it had disappeared. I had thought it was lost, and it is unexpected that a branch has survived. No wonder this boy was able to attain wish power. The successor of attainment golden body is as extraordinary as one would expect. The 3 disciples showed expressions of understanding. So this was a lost dhyana scripture. Mingzhu, who had been silent, suddenly spoke. The other two are also very strong. Hearing this, Dingzhen stilled. Of the three disciples, Mingzhu was the most stoic, but he was usually correct in his words. Dingzhen's gaze finally moved away from the attainment golden body. When it landed on Wei Shang's black sword, his pupils expanded. Such heavy fiendish energy. Such heavy killing intent. There is actually such a vicious weapon in the world. When he looked at Wei Shang, he found that the other's gaze was clear without any maliciousness and his actions were honest. It was possible to see that the killing intent of the sword had not influenced his mind. He couldn't help but praise such a determined and strong-minded man. His gaze moved to Zhuo. He made a sound of surprise and his expression became bewildered. Strange, there's something strange, he said to himself. He clearly is not in the stage of Jindan. So how was he able to reach this place? His hand technique is also very strange. I cannot understand it. He kept on shaking his head. When his gaze turned to Lil Pagoda, his eyes lit up, but then he said regretfully, "It is a pity." The three disciples were confused by his words. Dingzhen did not explain and just said, "These three are of extraordinary origins. We need to be extremely careful in our journey this time, and not get in conflict with them." Seeing the unconcerned faces of the three disciples, Dingzhen's brow furrowed. But when he thought about how they would have him, a Yuanying, supporting them, he couldn't help but laugh. He was too cautious. He did not continue to persuade them and said with a smile, "You may want to harvest some more. It would be difficult to encounter such pure cloud essence in the future. It is a very good gift to give to your Shixiang and Shidi when you return to your sect." This time, even Mingzhu took out a jade bottle and started harvesting. Of the three, Zhongru was the first to finish. The bottle became even more defined. It had grown longer, and there was a blood-red lotus on the surface of the bottle that flickered. The bottle was shrouded in cloud mist as it slowly faded into the golden body. Zhongru's palms came together as he stood up and bowed towards the cloud river. Zhuo had also formed hundreds of cloud beads. He had used up all of the Ling power inside his body. He stopped, threw a few Ling Dan into his mouth and sat down cross-legged to recover his Ling power. Lil Pagoda seemed to be overstuffed as he swayed back into Agui's arms and laid down with its tummy facing up. The black sword's absorption of the cloud mist had not decreased. Wei Xing stared attentively at the black sword and found to his surprise that the shape of the black sword was slowly changing. The body of the sword became even narrower, and caused the sword to look longer in comparison. Compared to its previous vicious appearance, it seemed nimbler and more spirited. Despite appearances, its length was actually shortening. The long sword, which had been the length of a person, was now about the same length to Wei Shang's ribs. The ruler straight sword was still simple and unadorned. It had a deep black luster that did not give off any light. The present black sword was still a size larger than normal flying swords, but was much more delicate in appearance than in the past. It was as though an ancient wild beast had hidden away its thick claws and teeth to silently settle down. There wasn't any aura of viciousness or fiendish energy, no killing intent, but for some unknown reason, Wei Shang's heart was full of a faint joy. It took 2 whole hours before the black sword stopped absorbing cloud essence. The black sword suddenly disappeared, and then reappeared in Wei Shang's hand. Wei Shang gripped the hilt of the sword, which was the perfect thickness and length for his hand. A smile blossomed on his face. Kongda had finished before Zhongru did. He had not expected to encounter the cloud crystal mist flow, and had not prepared. However, he was not greedy and was very satisfied with the surprise. Darren, after crossing this cloud river and walking for 2 more days, we will enter the grounds of harvesting water cloud embryos. Before Kongda finished speaking, his voice suddenly choked off. Almost at the same time, Zhuo and the others looked at the cloud river. A blue light suddenly flew out of the cloud river, covered in layers of ice crystals, and struck a Xiuzha. The Xiuzha hit was instantly frozen into a statue of ice. He didn't even have the time to scream before he dropped into the cloud river and disappeared. Ice breath beast. Kongda's face turned ashen and his voice trembled. The Xiuzha who were harvesting by the river shore instantly started to panic. Each of them had ashen faces as they turned and tried to escape. Dozens of blue energies flew out of the river. The xiuzhe that were struck instantly turned to ice sculptures. Even the expressions of their faces were preserved as though they were alive. This time, even Zuomo's group changed expression. These dozens of xiuzhe were all Jindan, but were able to withstand one blow of this blue light. What was even harder to believe was that the ones that were hit were the xiuzhe who had turned in order to escape. Zuomo's heart shook. Such high intelligence. Suddenly, someone exclaimed in shock, "Heavens! The cloud river is growing." As he had said, the layers of ice crystals were growing upwards. They quickly reached the same level as the rivers of the shore, and they were still rising. At this time, several bolts of blue light suddenly shot at Zuomo's group. Face ashen, Kong De's soul almost left his body. Chapter 526. Clear Cloud Python. Kong De was closest to Wei Sheng. Wei Sheng's two thick eyebrows shifted. The slender and straight black sword appeared in his hand, drawing an arc and then a horizontal slash. A faint black ripple spread. When the blue light hit the black ripple, it disappeared without a trace. Zhong Ru's eyes were still half-lidded. His expression had not changed, but at some time in the brief moment since the start of the attack, his right hand had formed a seal. Dong. The attainment golden body suddenly formed behind him, one hand raised high as though it was holding something up. In this instant, a dignified Diana presence rippled outward and spread with the attainment golden body as the center. Zuomo, Ague and the others were enclosed within it. When the blue lights came into contact with this intangible ripple, they exploded in the air beautifully like fireworks. From beginning to end, Zuomo had not needed to act. He stared at the roiling cloud river, as though he was thinking of something. Unlike Zuomo's group, which remained uninjured, the fatalities and wounds of the other xiuzhe were extremely high. The blue light that the ice breath beasts exhaled was very domineering, and normal Ling armor could not black it. If they were hit, they definitely would turn into ice statues. The xiuzhe that could stop the attack either had great treasures, or were very powerful. Zuomo's gaze landed on the four Xiankong Temple xiuzhe. They were the most attention-catching group. None of the four moved. The domineering blue lights seemed to be stopped by an invisible wall 10 zhang away from them. Zuomo was intimidated. The others' move was revealed. They were more skilled than their group. He was now 100% sure that the leading Diana Xiao was a Yuanying. Those that were not Yuanying were not able to resist like this. Ding Zhen's expression was unchanged, but his heart had become slightly clouded. The abnormal change of the cloud river was abnormal. It is the ice breath beasts. Ming Jing's expression was not well as he continued. 5th grade cloud beasts, their most powerful move is an ice breath attack. Ling armor below 5th grade cannot stop it. Did they appear previously in this place? Ding Zhen asked. Never. Ming Jing shook his head and responded. At most 3rd grade cloud beasts would appear here. Even 4th grade beasts were extremely rare, much less 5th grade. The expressions of the other two disciples were not well. For them, 5th grade cloud beasts were targets they had to face seriously. If the beast had the advantage and the benefit of the geography, they would have turned and fled without Shishi's help. Fortunately, Shirshu was present. For a Yuanying xiuzhe, 5th grade cloud beasts were easily dealt with. Shirshu, should we save them? Ming Jing looked at the terrible state on the shores. There was a hint of pity in his eyes as he spoke. We have more important things to do. Do not stray. Ding Zhen looked towards the other side of the shore and said in a deep voice, Shirshu, we are to cross the river? Ming Jing probed. Even though he knew that they had an important mission, there was the cloud crystal mist flow that had appeared out of season, and the ice breath beasts that should not have appeared in the cloud river. Everything implied that something was unusual here. And stay behind me, Ding Zhen said faintly. He swept across Zuomo's group, and then turned his eyes away. Ding Zhen stepped out like usual and stepped onto the cloud river. Step by step, he walked as though he was on solid ground, steady and unhurried. The 3 disciples walked behind him and stepped exactly where he had. The moment Ding Zhen stepped onto the cloud river suddenly started to boil. Countless cold blue lights shot out of the cloud river and rained down on the quartet. Ding Zhen's expression was normal and did not change as though he did not see them. The storm of blue lights created countless fragments of energy as they hit the invisible wall. Ding Zhen and the others were not affected, and seemed to stroll towards the other shore. The Xiuzha who saw this all inhaled in shock. So powerful. Zuo swallowed. This guy definitely is not the average Yuanying. Admiration floated onto Wei Sheng's face. The power that Ding Zhen displayed far surpassed their own. However, the admiration was quickly replaced by motivation. He unconsciously gripped the black sword in his hand. The black sword that had completely changed in appearance after swallowing great amounts of cloud essence, seemed to feel Wei Sheng's battle spirit, and lightly vibrated in Wei Sheng's palm. Wei Sheng felt the slight tremor from the black sword, and lovingly caressed the sword that had become long and narrow. Kongda had been rescued from the jaws of death. An experienced person, his ashen face gradually became normal again. Darren is wise. The ice breath beasts are 5th grade Ling beasts. The ice breath they exhale is glacially cold. Normal Ling armor cannot withstand it. His gaze landed on the ice statues on the shore, and couldn't help but feel some grief. As they spoke, the ice crystals spilled out as the cloud river rose. Darren, let's return. Kongda gathered his courage and urged. His voice was full of terror. This subordinate has made a living for more than a decade in the Cloud Sea and has never seen. Suddenly some of the Xiuzha which had fled successfully stumbled back with terrified faces. The clear cloud python. Save us. Kongda stopped. In this instant his gaze became stunned. An enormous snake's head suddenly shot out of the cloud mist, and swallowed the Xiuzha who spoke in one gulp. The snake's head was enormous like a mountain that was hundreds of zhang tall. In front of it, Xiuzha were as minuscule as ants in comparison. It was made from the cloud mist, its 2 eyes gray-white and empty. Just this enormous snake head was enough to scatter some people's minds. Now even Zuo and the others could not keep their calm. Their expressions changed drastically. Just the snake's head was so terrifying. So how large would the body of the snake be? What was even more terrifying was the presence exuded by this enormous figure, was almost enough to make them suffocate. In this instant, Zuo knew that they were not on the same level. Without hesitation he grabbed a gui and sprinted towards the cloud river. Let's go. Wei Sheng and Zhongru were in sync with Zuo. At the border of life and death, Wei Sheng grabbed Kongda who was trembling. Zhongru started to move at the same time. Like arrows flying out of the bow, they shot towards the river. Silly Bird, who always seemed to most unconcerned, had the fastest reaction. With almost abnormal speed, she flew to the front of the group. Compared with the titanic beast behind them, the ice breath beasts in the river were adorable like pets. Blue lights flew like rain out of the river and shot at Zuo and the others. At this time no one kept anything back. Even Zuo seemed to go crazy. Endless Yao arts flying off his fingertips. He dared to guarantee that he had reached a peak state in casting Yao arts. He didn't dare to keep anything back, and he didn't even have the time to think as instinct took over his body. The cloud sea behind him seemed to shake. Terrifying power swept across like a gust of wind. In front of this kind of power, the blue lights of the ice breath beasts were weak like candles in the wind, extinguishing easily. Archaic wasteland sacrificial art. At this time, Zuo didn't even look in through the strongest Yao art he knew out behind him. The wasteland beast appeared. The lantern-sized red eyes flashed with an eerie light. As the wasteland beast appeared, it destroyed the wave of power that came at them with a swipe. Compared to the clear cloud python, the wasteland beast was much smaller. However, the wasteland beast stared attentively at the other. Furious battle spirit that was rare to see rose up in its bloody pupils. The clear cloud python also detected the power of the wasteland beast. It stared at the wasteland beast as lightning gathered in its empty gray eyes. The wasteland beast crouched, and then leapt at the clear cloud python. The archaic wasteland sacrificial art had drawn out all the power in Zuo's body. If it wasn't that the 3 powers could be changed into each other, Zuo could not have cast the archaic wasteland sacrificial art after casting so many Yao arts. His body suddenly dropped down, and just as he was about to fall into the cloud river, he suddenly felt his neck tighten. It was Silly Bird that had grabbed onto him at this crucial time. Zuo threw a grateful look at Silly Bird, but found to his shock that Silly Bird was rolling her eyes. He instantly became furious. Zuomo's other hand was tightly gripping Agui. Agui's face had not changed at all, as though she did not know what a dangerous situation she was in. Zuomo couldn't help but reflect that it was not a bad thing to be like Agui sometimes. Lil Fire and Lil Pagoda in Agui's arms gave off terrified shrieks once in a while. Grabbing onto two people, Silly Bird was still faster than Wei Sheng and Zhongru. She kept a secure lead at the front. The next scene caused Zuomo to gape. Silly Bird was extremely nimble even as she dragged the two of them through the rain of blue light. None of the blue lights managed to hit them. Wei Sheng and Zhongru were also dodging, but they still had to stop to defend against some of the blue lights. A true bird would not show their face. Zuomo's mind moved quickly as he marveled. The bird seemed more powerful than he had imagined. Such a good laborer, how had he forgotten it? Such a waste. As though she detected that Zuomo was scheming something, Silly Bird's body suddenly dropped. Zuomo, who had been thinking of how to wring Silly Bird dry, suddenly felt his vision turn blue. The surface of the Cloud River was less than half a zhang away from him. He was even able to see the ice breath beasts that were hiding under the ice crystals. Silly Bird's action was clearly a provocative one to the ice breath beasts in the Cloud River. Countless blue lights headed for his face. Their goal was Zuomo. Zuomo's soul almost departed. He watched as blue lights took over his field of view. Then his neck tightened again, and all the blue lights disappeared instantly. In that instant, Zuomo felt that his heart almost stopped breathing. Zuomo instantly reacted and swore. "You dumb bird, fat bird, chubby bird, G will roast you. Cough cough hiss." Seeing Zuomo disheveled in the air, Wei Sheng and Zhongru had sympathetic expressions. They carefully maintained a distance from the raging Silly Bird. Compared to the raging Silly Bird, the ice breath beasts couldn't even count as pets. At this time, a great sound came from behind them. Affected by the tremor, the Cloud River seemed to boil and ice crystals shot out of the water. Boom! With a muffled sound, Zuomo and the others found that the large Cloud River under them seemed to be torn apart by several great forces. It broke apart. They couldn't help but stop and look back. Chapter 527, Thieving Baldies. Only half of the clear cloud python's head was left. A portion of the cloud energy had been scattered and swirled inside the cavity. The enormous pain caused it to furiously twist its body. All of the clouds within dozens of li were pulled in, and the wind cut past like blades. Where was the wasteland beast? Zuomo's eyes were wide as he furiously looked around to search for the traces of the wasteland beast. But he could not find it anywhere. For some unknown reason, he felt a wave of sorrow. Even though he knew that the wasteland beast was a Yao beast summoned using the archaic wasteland sacrificial art, and would not truly die, he still felt a thread of grief. In his mind, the wasteland beast was undefeatable. On multiple occasions, it had been the wasteland beast that had saved him at the crucial moment. In his mind, the wasteland beast was like one of his comrades. Zuomo stared hard at the clear cloud python that was still twisting around. In this moment, he hated himself for not being strong enough. Silly Bird also detected danger and accelerated. The clear cloud python quickly disappeared from Zuomo's vision. A rare thread of trepidation flashed through Ding Zhen's composed eyes. He leaned back to look at the enormous body of the clear cloud python, and could not move his gaze away. 8th grade Yao beast was something that even he feared. Ding Zhen felt a thread of regret. He should not have brought Ming Jing and the others along. He had not expected the Cloud Sea was so dangerous that it had cloud beasts that were 8th grade like the clear cloud python. Even he needed to be wary against an 8th grade Yao beast. Ming Jing and the others would not even have a chance to escape. No matter where, 8th grade Yao beasts were the top rank of the food chain and powerful existences that Yuanying Xiuzha did not dare to provoke. This was really fortunate this time. If they had been a bit slower when crossing the river, then it would be dangerous. However, his gaze was fixed on the people that had just crossed the river, and murderousness flashed through his eyes. He clearly remembered the wavering in his heart the moment the strange beast was summoned. No one knew the shock he felt at that moment. He did not recognize the wasteland beast, but the unique, desolate, and ancient presence on the wasteland beast attracted Ding Zhen's attention the moment it appeared. The suicide attack of the wasteland beast, what had heavily wounded the clear cloud python, caused him to reassess the power of the wasteland beast. The clear cloud python was an 8th grade Yao beast. A Xiuzha that could possess such a powerful Ling beast definitely would not have a simple background. Dingjun didn't even think in the direction of Yao arts. There was a distance between the two groups and the river was shrouded in cloud mist, so their view was obstructed. Also, all of their attention had been focused on the clear cloud python. 8th grade Yao beasts, even Dingjun had only ever seen a handful. It was only when the wasteland beast appeared that they attracted Dingjun's attention. Dingjun was considering if he should act against the other. His attitude towards Zuomo's group was quickly changing. He did not know Zuomo's goal in entering the deep of the Cloud Sea, but he felt a direct threat. He also was suspicious that Zuomo's group was also going after that thing in the Cloud Sea. He would not allow anything unexpected to happen on this mission. But when he met the gazes of Zuomo's group, he suppressed the murderousness he felt because their gazes were full of undisguised wariness. The other was prepared against him. Highly experienced old-timers. Dingjun instantly understood. He smiled like usual and nodded toward Zuomo's group. He then turned with his 3 disciples and disappeared into the Cloud Sea. Crossing the Cloud River safely, they could hear the howls of the clear cloud python from across the river. But for some reason, the clear cloud python seemed extremely wary of the river, and did not cross it. Moments later, the shouts of the clear cloud python faded. The cloud river that had been torn into pieces spread everywhere. Carrying along the ice crystals, Silly Bird relaxed her claws and Zuomo collapsed on the ground. He was almost completely out of energy. Even Wei Sheng had an expression of trepidation on his face. Kong Des' expression was stunned. He had not recovered from the situation. He intended to kill us just now. Zhongru suddenly spoke. Wei Sheng and Zuomo stilled. The two exchanged a look and their expressions became grave. They knew just how fantastically sensitive Zhongru's perception was. There is no good baldi in the baldis of Xiankong Temple. Zuomo said hatefully. Wei Sheng laughed. Alive? Am still alive. Am I dreaming? Kong Des' voice was trembling as he talked to himself. Zuomo and Silly Bird rolled their eyes at the same time. Their movements were in unison, and it could be seen that the two of them were about the same in virtue. Wei Sheng patted Kong Des' back and comforted him. It isn't a dream. Kong Des seemed to be crazy. Everyone knew that he had not recovered from the shock of danger just now, and were understanding towards his reaction. Zuomo shoved a bunch of Ling Dan into his mouth, crossed his legs and then started to meditate. Wei Sheng and Zhongru guarded him to prevent any accidents from occurring. As the Ling Dan entered his throat, it turned to a wave of heat that spread through his entire body. Zuomo was the only one that dared to consume Ling Dan in this manner. His channels were larger than normal people, and the paths his Ling power took to circulate through his body frequently differed from normal Xiao. He did not need to worry about collisions between large streams of Ling power. He manipulated the circulation of Shen power according to the methods on the golden leaf. The circulation of Shen power was more complex than any of the 3 powers, but its effect was also larger than any spell, Mo skill or Yao art. Just an hour later, Zuomo opened his eyes. He had completely recovered. Wei Sheng and Zhongru released a breath. If this was any other person, they would definitely be surprised at Zuomo's quick recovery rate, but the two did not find it strange. In their view, nothing normal happened to Zuomo. Kong Des also gradually became calm, but his face was still slightly white. What was the big thing just now? It is the clear cloud python. Terror rose in Kong Des' eyes as he tried to keep his tone calm. It is the most powerful cloud beast in the Cloud Sea. From long ago, people have spoken of it, but no one had ever seen it with their own eyes. Many people did not believe it. I also did not think it was real. I hadn't expected it to be true. Clear cloud python? Zuomo's eyes were thoughtful, but he didn't have any memory of it. What grade? I don't know. Kong Des shook his head. It should be 8th grade, Wei Sheng suddenly said. No wonder it was so powerful. Zuomo stilled. Then he said with surprise, no wonder it could defeat the wasteland beast. Just as he finished talking, Pu Yao's cold snort sounded in his mind. My ass. Zuomo's expression froze. Passing the archaic wasteland sacrificial art to you is a waste. Ha, the honored wasteland beast was killed by an 8th grade little fat snake. Teacher, oh teacher, please do not climb out of your coffin. Shaming you even in Cloud Sigia. I actually took on such trash as a student. I should poke out my own eyes. The misfortune of the school. The humiliation of Yao world. Pu Yao's disdain and mockery was thrown at Zhuo Emohim with everything he was able. Wei suddenly inserted with a smile. You cannot completely blame little Mo. The common saying is right, there are no stupid students, just terrible teachers. A deathly silence. Murderousness spread in the sea of consciousness. Little Wei, it seems you are seeking death. Pu Yao was full of murderousness. So sorry, I know the truth is slightly hurtful. Wei's face was full of innocence and apology, but he looked extremely proud. Bam 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 bam. The two of them started to fight immediately. Zhuo Mo's face was full of exasperation. These two were really extreme. He turned towards Kongda. How far until there are water cloud embryos? Kongda thought and then said, not too far, about 2 more days of travel, and we can arrive. However, he halted in speech. However what? Zhuo Mo asked. Kongda gritted his teeth and said, Darren, this subordinate doesn't dare to guarantee that there will be water cloud embryos there. Something big definitely happened in the cloud sea. And this cannot be blamed on you. Zhuo Mo waved his hand and then stood up. He said, we will go immediately to find water cloud embryos. Zhuo Mo decided once they found a water cloud embryo, he would use the transportation seals and get everyone to leave this dangerous place. Kongda calmly quieted down. He also knew if he secretly ran away, he would not be able to escape the cloud sea. If he followed Darren, he would have at least a small guarantee of safety. The group stood and continued to advance. After walking for an hour, Kongda's face gradually became ugly. He suddenly stopped walking. Darren, the road is not right. The road is not right. Zhuo Mo and the others stilled. This subordinate is extremely familiar with this route, and did not feel it at the beginning, but now, this subordinate is certain that the road is not correct. It seems, someone has modified it. Kongda's expression was puzzled. Zhuo Mo and the others changed expression. He closed his eyes and spread out his Shen power. When he opened his eyes, murderousness flashed through his eyes. Those damned baldies. As he spoke, he suddenly raised his hand. A ball of light suddenly exploded in his hand. Light charged into the surroundings. It was the art used specifically to defeat illusory arts. Bone-crushing obscuring flash. The cloud sea and the surroundings flashed but did not change. Zhuo Mo's expression changed. Another, bone-crushing obscuring flash. Only after the third bone-crushing obscuring flash did the scenery change. Wei Sheng and Zhongru had terrible expressions. They had not detected the illusory art that the other had set down at all. Zhuo Mo's face was black. He had used bone-crushing obscuring flash 3 times in a row to defeat the illusory spell the other set up. This was enough to show the difference in power between them. The other's move was extremely evil. It was just a little illusory spell. If they did not detect it, they would fall. If they got lost in the cloud sea, they would not come out alive. Thieving baldies. Kongda looked around, and then his eyes suddenly lit up. I know where we are. Finishing, he hurriedly walked towards the cloud mist on the right. Zhuo Mo and the others quickly followed. The Xiankong Temple baldies really do want to deal with us, Zhuo Mo gritted out. Rationally, we are not in conflict with them, unless they have a target. Are they afraid that we will interfere? Wei Sheng showed a ponderous expression. Zhuo Mo said with a snicker. They definitely have something they are after. Otherwise, why would they come to the cloud sea? Something that can attract a Yuanying baldi of Xiankong Temple definitely would not be a normal treasure. Since they have involved us, He smirked coldly. Originally the two sides were only traveling in the same direction. You search for your treasure, and I'll search for my water cloud embryo. He hadn't expected the other to be so malicious and sneakily to move against them in secret. Xiao Emoge's personality was to settle all scores. There was no reason to slight himself. So what if they were Yuanying? Zhuo Mo could not fight him for the treasure, but in terms of setting down traps, If Zuomo did not have 10,000 ideas, he had at least a few thousand. Don't let Ji encounter you. Zuomo gritted his teeth and cursed inside. Chapter 528. Cloud Messenger Kong to lead Zuomo and the others out of the mist, as expected from someone who had made a living in the cloud sea for over a decade. However, before they could be happy about leaving the mists, they detected the signs of a battle. It was clear that a fierce battle had just occurred here. Kongda squatted down and carefully examined the marks left on the ground. He quickly stood up. His face was slightly pale but relatively calm compared to before. Darren, it is the Cloud Messengers. Cloud Messengers? Zuomo's face was confused. Kongda explained. Cloud Messengers are a kind of cloud beast unique to the Cloud Sea. They are 5th grade and are extremely fast. Their territorial instincts are strong, and they react with great enmity towards those who trespass in their territory. He had a serious expression. Darren, there were not any Cloud Messengers here in the past. At this time, Zuomo felt a strong sense of danger. A streak of flowing light suddenly shot out of the cloud mist and appeared in front of Zuomo. At this time, Zuomo's hand had just started to rise. This streak of light came so quickly it was like lightning. Fortunately, Zuomo had been on guard when he saw the marks on the ground. The Shen power in his body had turned into the 3 powers. Zuomo was shocked but not panicked. His reaction was extremely rapid. Seeing he did not have the time to raise his arm to block, instead his hand turned over, and he slapped up in a backhand. The bright script appeared. Day script palm. Pia. Zuomo's day script palm accurately hit the flowing light. Unexpectedly the light did not shatter. The flowing light was like a rebounding ball that used the power of the day script palm to escape. Being thrown back by the strike, it increased in speed and went back into the cloud mist. Zuomo's hairs suddenly stood up. An expression of disbelief was on his face. The day script palm that had always dominated his enemies was unable to even harm this thing. This wasn't possible. The battle occurred in a flash, but Zuomo, Weisheng, and the others had keen eyes and saw its appearance. The Cloud Messenger was extremely strange in form. 4 tentacles came out of a flattened body. Each tentacle had a ball of light at the end which shrouded its body in light. When it flew, its entire body was rotating at high speed. Its 4 tentacles extended out to a point. This caused the space shield to also flatten and appear like a dart. Weisheng and Zhongru's faces changed slightly. They understood just how powerful Zuomo's day script palm was. The Cloud Messenger was able to withstand a full-on blow and not be damaged. Both of them were shocked. The Cloud Messenger was also lightning fast. They were Xiuzha with a great amount of battle experience, and instantly recognized the danger. The thick, almost tangible cloud mist was a great hindrance to their vision. But for the cloud beasts it was the best camouflage. The tip of Wei Sheng's black sword rose lightly. Zhongru's cross prayer wheel appeared in his hand as the two prepared to face a great enemy. Kong De's heart was also in the air. Cloud messengers were the cloud beasts that Xiuzha, who hunted in the cloud sea, like himself, dreaded encountering the most. Ice breath beasts only lived in the cloud river. As long as they did not go near the cloud river, they would not be encountered. But cloud messengers would be commonly encountered once people went deeper into the cloud sea. There were an innumerable number of Xiuzha that had died due to cloud messengers each year. Even though cloud messengers were only 5th grade, but with its terrifying speed and in this environment covered in mist, it was impossible to always defend against. However, cloud messengers rarely left their territories. There hadn't been cloud messengers here before. What was going on with the cloud sea this year? Kongda was full of bewilderment. Careful, this thing's space shield is strange. Zuomo was the first to react and shouted a warning. Before Zuomo finished saying this, countless flowing lights shot out of the cloud mist like a barrage. The sound was like a vast bell. It was not loud and arousing, but it rang out like thunder echoing within the clouds. With Zhongru as the center, the cloud mist within 5 li suddenly stopped flowing in this instant. Abhina. Truth speech. Zhongru's first attack was the killing move he rarely used, the Abhina. Truth speech. Compared to the time he used it at Nansheng village, the present truth speech was completely different in terms of power. The strange space shield of the cloud messengers could not stop Zhong Ru's truth speech. The flowing lights suddenly stilled, even though they were not completely stopped, but the murderousness intent had dissipated. Zuemo, Wei Xing and Zhong Ru knew each other well. Zuemo and Wei Xing acted at the same time. What was the cloud mist most afraid of? Fire. The cloud mist was formed from water moisture. When the sun rose, the cloud mist would quickly dissipate. Zuemo's control of fire had reached the level comparable to Yuanying. He had formed the Great Day Banded Flame from the Great Day Mo physique, and combined with the Sun Crystal Seed. He had even been bathed in the Shen fire back at the Sun Shen Temple. His skill level in controlling fire was something he could dominate Jindan Xiuzhe with. Bringing his hands together, the golden flames engulfed his hands. As he spread his hands apart, the flames suddenly spilled out like a golden piece of cloth thrown into the air, and covering all of the cloud messengers. Wei Sheng's coordination with Zhong Ru was also exquisite. The black sword swung out in a circle. Intimidating sword essence smashed out like a twister. The thick cloud mist was blown away by the sword essence and instantly cleared out an empty space dozens of zhang in diameter. Dozens of cloud messengers were instantly exposed. These cloud messengers were also affected by Zhong Ru's truth speech, but were not visible in the mist. Facing such targets, how could Wei Xing miss them? The black void that represented hundreds of years of Wukong sword sect's history showed its power as Wei Xing swung his sword. Power that was hard to detect with the naked eye pushed and pulled, and caused the space shield of the cloud messengers to creak. At the same time, one of Zuemo's hands circled as another twisted. The cloth of flame that had spread and trapped the cloud messengers suddenly tightened. The cloud messengers gave strong and powerful chirps. They had managed to struggle out of the truth speech effects, but the domineering Great Day Banded Flame was glued onto their space shields, and would not stop burning. Great Day Banded Flame was a 6th grade flame. The cloud messengers were terrified. They furiously struggled in the circle of Great Day Banded Flame, and tried to escape. Yet the tyranny of the Great Day Banded Flame far surpassed their imagination. It tore apart the space shields of the cloud messengers. As the space shields were penetrated, the Great Day Banded Flame started to burn the cloud messengers. The body of the cloud messengers disappeared at a visible rate no matter how they struggled. In a short span of a few breaths, all of the cloud messengers around Zuemo were cleared out. Wei Sheng was not lacking in comparison. His sword essence had broken through to the peak of sword essence manifestation, and was at the doorstep of boundary. This was a level that normally only Yuanying sword Xiu reached. The black and empty sword essence was like the endless void, deep and without boundaries. The space shields of the cloud messengers covered by the sword essence started to corrode and thin at a visible rate until they disappeared. Their bodies also disappeared at the same speed. The combined attacks of the trio had killed hundreds of cloud messengers. Kong De's eyes were left wide in awe. Clink clink, many discs the size of a thumb fell from the air. The trio did not move and maintained their defensive state to carefully examine the surroundings. Looking at the experienced and crisp teamwork between the three, Kong De had a strange feeling. He had this feeling that Darren and the others seemed very familiar with the dangers in the Cloud Sea. With the three working together, hundreds of cloud messengers had turned to dust with the flick of a finger, and was a great blow to Kong De's expectations. The cloud messengers were 5th grade cloud beasts, and did not have a true ranking among the cloud beasts in the Cloud Sea. However, their lightning-fast speed, and their numbers had caused countless Xiuzhe to die in the Cloud Sea. Darren and the others were coming into contact for the first time, but had found the cloud messengers' weakness in such a short amount of time in order to kill them. Were Darren and the others really entering the Cloud Sea for the first time? Of course, Kongda did not know that Zuemo and the other two had experienced a place far more terrifying than the Cloud Sea. On the sealed extinction battlefield, Zuemo and the others had long become used to the fiend souls that could appear at any time. The number of fiend souls they killed were innumerable. What is that? Zuemo picked up a disc and asked. The disc was the size of a thumb, and the material felt like ivory. It was clean white and warm, the surface covered with natural patterns. It is a messenger seal, Darren. Kong De's tone was even more respectful. Every cloud messenger would form a messenger seal in their body. The messenger seal has naturally forming seal formations. Many seal shio will buy them. Other than to study the formations, they are good materials to forge cloud-type talismans. Natural seal formations? Zuoyamo made a small sound of surprise. He brought the messenger seal in front of his eyes and closely examined it. He quickly discovered something. These patterns that looked chaotic were actually seal formations. So interesting. Zuomo's interest was stirred. It was not the first time he saw a natural formation, but every time, they would give him surprises. Where did the formations of Xiozha originate? From nature. Actually, no matter if it was Xiozha or Yaoma, everyone's cultivation method was different, but they all were derived from nature, from the world, from copying and mimicking. Things that had natural formations were among the best materials for forging. Zuomo instantly knew the value of the messenger seals. Ah, such a pity, we are in a hurry this time. Zuomo picked up the messenger seals on the ground as he muttered. They are easy to kill, the materials are good, where else would we find something as profitable as this? Cold sweat poured down Kong De's head. Easy to kill. Cloud messengers were easy to kill? The cloud messengers that were the top thing people did not want to encounter had become the most profitable prey to hunt in Darren's mouth. Kong De was speechless, but thinking about how Darren and the others killed hundreds in a brief moment, he chose to close his mouth. Zuomo was planning to get Vermilion Bird Camp to come hunt cloud messengers. This was definitely a good business. The cloud messengers in the cloud mist might have been scared by the attacks of Zuomo's group, and not one other cloud messenger ever popped out again. Zuomo picked up the messenger seals on the ground, and then started moving again. Finding a water cloud embryo was the most important matter. Kong De once again led the way. Zuomo could feel that they were continuously descending because the ambient temperature was gradually decreasing. The cloud mist became even thicker, and Zuomo suddenly found that the patch of cloud mist were formed from tiny ice droplets. Kong De's expression became even more grave and his speed slowed down. Zuomo and the others tried to be more aware as they carefully followed behind Kong De. They were prepared to fight at any moment. They may have appeared to kill off all the cloud messengers easily, but all of them were wary since the cloud messenger, which was just 5th grade, had been able to take Zuomo's day script palm and come out undamaged. Yet even so, an accident still happened. Chapter 529. The mist people. The cloud mist in front of them was a faint blue. If one looked closely, they would find that each ball of mist was composed of countless tiny faint blue ice crystals. These faint blue ice crystals floated in the air and did not fall. The blue endless mist sea was like an ocean and gave people the feeling of being immeasurable. This. Kong De's face was pale as he gaped. His expression seemed as though he had seen a ghost. Zuomo's heart jumped as he hurriedly asked, "What is it? Is something wrong?" This is ice mist." Kong De stammered out. "Ice mist?" Zuomo looked at the vast light blue mist and nodded. This name was pretty accurate. However, looking at Kong De's expression, there definitely was something that was not right. He couldn't help but ask, "What is it? What is wrong?" Kong De swallowed hard, his face pale as though his face was powdered. Darren may not know, but the ice mist is only found in one place. That is the ice mist haze territory at the deepest part of the cloud sea. How can there be ice mist here? Zuomo recognized the situation. "You are saying there should not be ice mist here?" Turning his face, he looked at the vast blue mist sea and shook. Something definitely unexpected had happened. He suddenly thought of a question, and his expression changed. He hurriedly asked, "What about the road? Would the road?" "Darren, the road is gone." Kong De's expression was full of terror. Zuomo's heart sank. "Then the water cloud embryos?" "This subordinate does not know." Kong De shook his head. "This subordinate has never gone into the ice mist haze territory. There are rarely people that go deep into the ice mist haze territory. It is too dangerous. Darren, look at this ice mist. They are extremely cold. If one does not have a treasure or enough power to protect their body, then just contact with the ice mist is enough to freeze them." Wei Sheng raised the black sword, and the tip sand into the ice mist. A layer of frost quickly spread on the surface of the black mist at a visible rate. Wei Sheng shook it lightly and the frost on the black sword disappeared. He raised his face and his expression was solemn. We need to be careful. Zuomo saw what Wei Sheng had done from beginning to end. If even Wei Sheng felt they needed to be careful, then the danger the ice mist posed was clear. But Zuomo looked at the quiet Ague beside him, his heart filled with unwillingness. Water cloud embryo. Only a water cloud embryo could heal Ague. At this moment, Zuomo felt extremely conflicted. No matter what, he needed to find the water cloud embryo, but he did not want Wei Sheng and Zhongru to end up in danger because of him. Wei Sheng glanced at Zuomo and instantly understood Zuomo's intentions. He smiled. Just mere ice mist, shitty, do not be nervous. Finding the water cloud embryo is important. Let's go. Turning around, he walked straight into the ice mist. Zhongru smiled slightly. Darren, time is tight. Finishing, he walked into the ice mist. Zuomo's heart instantly warmed and he was moved. Seeing this, he did not hesitate and took out a transportation seal. Your cultivation is too low. Return first. This transportation formation will take you straight back to the island. Kongda had never gone to the ice mist haze territory before, and could not act as a guide any further. Kongda was also weak relative to rest of the group, and the ice mist was abnormally dangerous. They did not have the attention to spare to protect him, so Zuomo let him return. Giving the transportation seal to Kongda, Zuomo took a gui and walked into the ice mist. Entering the ice mist, he felt the bone-boring coldness come from all directions. Even Zuomo, with his powerful body, couldn't help but shudder. Suddenly, a wave of warmth wrapped around him. The sun crystal seed appeared above his head and released fine light that covered Zuomo, Ague, and the little ones. Zuomo jumped in fright. The sun crystal seed had always been silent in his body and never moved. Sometimes he would almost forget the existence of the sun crystal seed. He hadn't thought that the coldness of the ice mist would have stimulated the sun crystal seed out. Wei Sheng and Zhongru raised their own defenses. Wei Sheng was covered in thin sword essence. This layer was extremely thin and wrapped around Wei Sheng's body like a membrane. When the ice mist came into contact with this layer of sword essence, it would disappear as though it was swallowed. Zhongru held the cross prayer wheel and slowly turned it. Fine golden sutra characters swam in the surroundings and flicking in and out of view. The strange cold of the ice mist could not break through the seemingly thin barrier of sutra characters. When Zuomo caught up, the three silently took up positions of a triangular formation with Wei Sheng at the front. The world is large and has all kinds of wonders, Wei Sheng said emotionally. This time, my vision has been broadened by this trip to the Cloud Sea. No wonder so many elders like to travel the world. Zuomo's head shook like a rattle drum. If it wasn't for the water cloud embryo, I won't come to this ghastly place. Oh, but the cloud messengers are good. Wei Sheng saw Zuomo's greedy state and he laughed. A strange feeling rose. In terms of strength, Shidi could be considered a great genius that rivaled him, but his personality was completely different than any young genius he had ever seen. Of the geniuses that he had encountered, like the astounding Lin Qian or the many others, they were either had great intelligence and deep talent, or they had persistent hearts. Even he himself had only focused on the sword and nothing else. But Shidi was far from being considered the peak of intelligence. His personality was lively, he was businesslike and greedy for money. He learned all kinds of trades, spells, sword scriptures, seals, formations, forging. He learned a little of all of these, and many strange and weird things that Wei Sheng had never even heard of. If one saw the things that Shidi learned, he was definitely the classical example of what not to do. But even so, Shidi's strength had reached a level that was hard to believe. He didn't understand how Shidi had cultivated the way he did. Wei Sheng shook his head and laughed, throwing the question to the back of his mind. Does Shidi recognize the water cloud embryo? Wei Sheng asked. Yes. Zuomo nodded. He had made good preparations. Wei Sheng rested his heart. He suddenly realized that while Shidi looked unreliable usually, but he never made major mistakes. Thinking about this, Wei Sheng was thoughtful. The further they walked in, the heavier the coldness of the ice mist was. The blue color of the ice mist increased, and the ice crystals that formed the ice mist became bigger. There were still remnants of cloud grasses lingering on the ground. These cloud grasses had been frozen into little ice statues. They would occasionally see corpses of cloud beasts, but they had also been frozen into ice, and on their surface was a strange blue layer. The trio's expressions became solemn. All the traces indicated that when the ice mist arrived, these cloud beasts had not had a chance to escape. Suddenly, Ague turned her head, but no one noticed. Her empty and wooden eyes stared into the depths of the ice mist. A purple light flashed across her eyes. Zuemo was slightly worried that the sudden appearance of the ice mist would have destroyed all the water cloud embryos. Suddenly, a wave of rustling noises came from the ice mist. The three instantly showed wary expressions, stopped moving, and went on guard. A pair of blue eyes appeared in the ice mist. The trio felt a strong feeling of danger. Without any hesitation, the black sword in Wei Sheng's hands suddenly sliced forward. The black and empty sword essence tore apart the ice mist in front of them, and exposed the other's true body. A female whose body glowed like crystal appeared in front of them. She had a pair of deep blue eyes. Her hair was a pure snowy white, and her chin was sharp. It had an uncanny and beautiful resemblance to work of craftsmanship. Her small lips did not hold any blush. Layer upon layer of light blue ice mist spun around her, and her body that was bare flickered in and out of view. When Zuemo and the others looked down, they were astounded. Countless blue ice crystals moved on the ground like quicksand. Her lower body was completely made up of this kind of blue ice. Mist people. Pu Yao and Weiss exclamations sounded in Zuemo's mind at almost the same time. Zuemo's heart suddenly jumped, and he rushed to ask, "What are the mist people?" He had a bad feeling. This was the first time that Pu Yao and Wei shouted in shock at the same matter. How is it possible? Wei murmured to himself. The aloofness on his face had disappeared, and what replaced it was deep disbelief, as though he was seeing a ghost. Pu Yao's face was not much better. His expression suddenly changed as he shouted, "Quick, run! Run!" Zuemo's mind blanked. Not good. Pu Yao usually looked down on everything. This was the first time Pu Yao did not hesitate in telling him to run. This would only be one kind of circumstance. The other's strength was such that even Pu Yao was wary. In a flash, Zuemo's mind was abnormally clear. He prepared to call Wei Sheng and Zhongru to flee when something suddenly changed. At some unknown time, their legs had been wrapped up in slender flows of ice mist. No matter how they struggled, they were unable to move. Wei Sheng and Zhongru instantly detected it, and their expressions changed. Yet no matter how they channeled Ling power, the slender flows of ice mist did not move at all. The three had hopeless expressions. None of the little ones were an exception, and were firmly tied up as well. Silly bird that was usually the boss had been tied until she looked like a knot. The mist person looked indifferently at them. The ice crystals under her body supported her, and slowly moved her near them. Zuemo knew that they were finished. The difference in strength was too great, so great that they didn't even have a chance to escape. What are the mist people? Zuemo's expression did not change as he asked in his sea of consciousness. Pu Yao and Wei definitely knew. An ancient tribe. Weiss tone could not recover its usual calm. They are not too famous, but they have endured. It is possible to see traces of their presence in every era. I had not imagined they would have survived until now. Pu Yao's expression was complex. He was widely read and knew what the mist people were. Everyone had assumed that the ancient tribes had died out long ago. Who could have thought that they would see the lucky survivors of an ancient tribe in the depth of the cloud sea? Pu Yao, who had received the elite education of Yao, knew much more about all kinds of secrets than normal Yao. However, about ancient tribes, no matter if it was the Xiozha world, the Emo world, or the Yao world, the conclusion was unusually in consensus. They had died out long ago. Ancient tribe? This time, even Zuemo was shocked. A tribe as powerful as the Sun tribe had died out for tens of thousands of years. An ancient tribe had managed to survive? Suddenly, the gaze of the mist person landed on Zuemo, and they walked right up in front of him. Chapter 530. Ink jade bones. In the deathly silence, there was only the rustling as the mist person moved. Hey, let's talk peacefully, let's talk peacefully. Zhuomo's heart was shaking, but he still pushed a smile on his face. The other's power was unfathomable to him. Of course, it was possible that this patch of ice mist had unusual qualities. Give it. Like her appearance, her voice was unusually icy. Give what? Zhuomo's face was bewildered. Give what? I smell the scent of my clansman on you. The mist person's crystal-like eyes stared at Zhuomo. Her voice was glacial and emotionless. The smell of your clansman? Zhuomo was confused. There was a scent of mist people on his body? However, out of the corner of his eyes he saw a flash of purple energy in Agui's eyes. Agui's body had been gradually recovering. The purple energy that had almost disappeared from her body had seemed to recover some vitality. Also, the mist person seemed to feel that Agui was not very strong, and the ice mist flows that restrained her were the weakest. Ever since Agui had begun somewhat recovering, she had never used her strange power again. But when he saw the purple energy in Agui's eyes, a thread of hope suddenly rose. His mind spun furiously as he hurriedly said, is it that I am a mist person? I'm really sorry, my memory has been erased. Am I really a mist person? His intention had been to distract and buy time, but when he finished speaking, even he felt it was possible that he really was a mist person. His birth had always been a mystery, so a rare thread of excitement rose in his mind. You are not, the mist person coldly replied. The thread of excitement calmed. What rose was a thread of disappointment. Then I do not know. A thread of puzzlement flashed through the mist person's sapphire eyes. Her head bowed. She sank into thought. Suddenly, an unique vibration came from his ring. Zhuomo couldn't help but make a sound of surprise. The mist person was attracted by Zhuomo's exclamation and raised her head. At this time, the ice mist chains on the silent Agui suddenly shattered without warning. Pia, the ice mist flows shattered into a light blue icy mist. Agui's right hand was slightly raised as her body twisted strangely on the spot. She was like a puppet that was pulled into a strange position as the purple light in her eyes brightened. There was no sound, no light. The mist person in front of Zhuomo seemed to be robbed of strength, her body softening as she fainted on the ground. The ice mist flows around Zhuomo. Wei Sheng and Zhongru instantly dissipated. Wei Sheng and Zhongru seemed to be relieved of a great burden. Their eyes were shocked as they stared at Agui. Agui did not detect their stares as though she had not done a thing, and stood quietly next to Zhuomo. Wei Sheng asked Zhuomo, has Agui recovered? I don't know. Zhuomo spread his hand with a grimace. The shock he was feeling far surpassed Wei Sheng and Zhongru. It was like a tsunami occurring in his mind. He almost didn't dare to believe his eyes. This was not the first time he saw Agui fight, but before this, Zhuomo had been like other people, and did not know the method Agui fought with. But this time he recognized it. Shen power. What Agui was using was Shen power. A kind of Shen power that was completely different from his son's Shen power. But it was undoubtedly Shen power. In the past, Zhuomo had cultivated the three powers but knew nothing about Shen power, so he hadn't recognized that what Agui used was Shen power. Now that what he was cultivating was Shen power, he could immediately see that Agui was using Shen power. There were no words that could describe the shock Zhuomo was feeling at this moment. Agui actually cultivated Shen power. At this time, countless questions flooded his mind. All the clues pointed to the fact that he and Agui had an unknown connection. It was very probable that she knew of his past. Even the 5-element glass bead inside his body seemed to have a certain connection to Agui. He could cultivate Ling power. He was able to cultivate Mo physique. He was even able to enter the 10-finger prison. These clues that had been ignored in the past suddenly became so clear. Then there was the soul-setting divine light, and the sun Shen power that were also of the same mold. His birth definitely had a close connection to Shen power. But Zhuomo bit down on his lips, his expression changing. Shen power had disappeared a long time ago. Suddenly recalling that the four realms hunted the descendants of ancient tribes, Zhuomo unconsciously shuddered. Then thinking about how someone had changed his appearance and erased his mind, a dark and dangerous presence suddenly rose as though it was a figure barely discernible in the thick mist. Was it Zuomo's heart shook and he did not dare to keep thinking. He remembered all of his questions. He definitely was going to get to the bottom of all of them. His gaze landed on a Gui standing quietly by him, and his gaze softened. The image of a Gui blocking attacks for him with her own body was still clear in his mind, as though it was yesterday. No matter what, he had to find a water cloud embryo. Resuming his normal composure, Zuomo's gaze became determined again. Wei Sheng and Zhongru, who had been paying attention to Zuomo all this time, finally released a breath. Seeing the two's expressions, Zuomo did not want them to worry and smiled. At this time, he suddenly recalled the strange vibration that had come from his ring. He hurriedly started to rummage through his ring. It was this. Zuomo's pupils suddenly contracted. At some unknown time, the pile of bones in the corner of the ring had become a bright red like burning hot metal. Ink jade bones. The strange vibration just now had come from the ink jade bones. Shocked, Zuomo took out all the ink jade bones. As the dark red ink jade bones were taken out, the ice mist that flooded the surroundings suddenly rushed towards the ink jade bones like sharks scenting blood. This pile of ink jade bones in front of Zuomo seemed to be a powerful whirlpool, or a bottomless hole that kept on consuming ice mist. SSSSSSSSS. The ice mist that was being pulled in turned to slender flows that howled. Zuomo and the others were amazed. Wei Sheng and Zhongru were alright. Even though they were astounded, they did not know about all the events of the Ascension Temple, and just thought the ink jade bones were a treasure. Zuomo truly jumped in fright. No one knew better than him about the origins of the ink jade bones. That was something he had found in the burning Shun realm of the Ascension Temple. At that time, he had seen the ink jade bones were of a good color and special quality. He had thought it was a treasure since it was not rotted after tens of thousands of years, so he kept them until now. Thinking about the presence of clansmen that the mist person had just mentioned, and then looking at this spectacular scene, Zuomo instantly understood. The ink jade bones were most likely an ancestor of the mist person. Then they had been captured by the Sun Shin Temple and jailed in the burning Shin realm. The mist person who had been unconscious suddenly woke up with a moan. The trio's expressions suddenly changed, and they realized that they had forgotten to check if the mist person was dead or alive. It might have been that a Gui had not completely recovered, or that the mist person was too strong. That this was the first time Zuomo had seen someone survive a Gui's attack. A Gui's eyes were completely dim now, and had reverted back to the usual woodenness. She did not react at all to the awakening mist person. Damn it. The three were just going to act, especially Zuomo. He was preparing to use Shin power. Yet the next scene stunned them. They could see tears on the mist person's face. They were like the pearls dropping off a broken necklace and fell down. The faint blue teardrops became faint blue beads once they left her eyes. When they landed on the ground, they caused a clatter. It was the first time Zuomo and the others had seen someone cry like this. All of them were stuck to their spot. Tears of a mist person. I don't know how a brat like you can have such good luck. In the sea of consciousness, Puyao shook his head and sighed. Luck? Zuomo didn't quite understand. Everything that was happening right now did not seem to have a connection with luck. The mist people have cold personalities, and the majority of them would not cry once in their life. The beads formed from the tears of the mist people are called mist people tears, and was an ultimate water element treasure. Even more importantly, once a mist person cries in front of someone, the person will receive their friendship. Puyao had great knowledge and described the lore. Really? Zuomo didn't quite believe it. If this woman suddenly went crazy, they wouldn't be able to deal with it. It is true, Wei said solemnly. His voice carried a strange emotion. He felt a mixture of feelings upon seeing the descendants of ancient tribes. Zuomo finally calmed his racing heart. Puyao and Wei usually were at odds. If both sides agreed it was true, then it should be true. He gave a look to Wei Sheng and Zhongru to stop them from fighting. The two did not understand but refrained from taking action. The mist person only cried for a while before stopping. Standing to the side, Zuomo didn't know how much ice mist the bones had absorbed. The color of the bones had gone from the burning red to a faint blue. The bones became a wondrous glowing blue, transparent like crystal. Rustling suddenly sounded in the surroundings. The figures of numerous mist people flickered in and out of the ice mist. Zhuo and the others changed expression. The mist people came from all directions like the tide. Surrounding Zhuo's group in the middle, Zhuo was furiously replaying that what Pu Yao said. Receiving the friendship of the mist person, and hoping it was true, otherwise. The dense crowd of mist people appearing caused Zhuo's scalp to prickle. The next action of the mist people caused Zhuo to be shocked, and also sigh in relief. The mist people orderly knelt down like the tide washing over the crowd. There was excitement on all of their faces. Zhuo understood his own weight, and knew that the mist people were not kneeling to him. As expected, what they were kneeling to was the pile of crystal bones. He hurriedly pulled Wei Sheng and Zhongru to hurry to the side. At this time it was good to be perceptive. Crack, crack. As he moved away, a wave of strange sounds came from behind Zhuo. Turning around Zhuo, he was stunned as though he was struck by lightning. The crystal bones were moving, all of them standing up. One bone flew on top of another bone, and a skeleton gradually formed. There seemed to be an invisible hand that was piecing the bones back together. A hair-raising fear that was hard to describe rose in Zhuo's mind. His hair all stood on end. Chapter 531. The tribe of mist people Wei Sheng and Zhongru were also shocked by the skeleton. Even Silly Bird that was usually proud was unusually obedient the moment. The skeleton was not weak. Of all of them, the only one that showed calm was Ague. Ague silently stood next to Zhuo and ignored everything happening in front of her. The crystal skeleton was transparent. Every piece of bone was like a piece of art. The entire crystal skeleton was exquisitely beautiful. When the last bone attached the skeleton, the entire skeleton suddenly lit up with a blinding blue light. The blue light spread in all directions in ripples. The mist people who were touched by the blinding light were extremely excited. The ink jade bones that Zhuo had picked up from the burning Shen realm were not whole. There were 3 bones missing: the skull, a rib, and a finger bone. But there was no imbalance that could be seen from this incomplete crystal skeleton, as though it even like this it was complete. Wei Sheng and Zhongru had terrible expressions. They suddenly had felt that the ocean of ice mist suddenly seemed to come alive. Zhuo also detected the transformation of the ice mist. He was astounded. Shen power. This was Shen power. The Shen power released by the crystal skeleton was unusually gentle. So soft that it was almost impossible to detect. If Zhuo was not cultivating Shen power, and was far more sensitive to Shen power than others, he definitely could not detect it. Zhuo was not very shocked that the skeleton was releasing Shen power. He had picked up the skeleton from the Sun Shen tribe's burning Shen realm, so the skeleton definitely came from the ancient era. It was normal for the skeleton to have a connection to Shen power. What he was shocked at was that the skeleton also still contained a trace of life. The Shen power released by the skeleton was weak and gentle, but Zhuo could feel the presence of life contained within it. Even though this presence of life was very weak, but it was truly life force. Zhuo looked uncertainly at the skeleton. Was this a joke? A skeleton tens of thousands of years old suddenly coming back to life? This was ridiculous. Fortunately, the skeleton did not change any further. Its light gradually dimmed. The mist people that had been prostrated on the ground stood up. Several mist people that seemed to be of advanced age carefully went forward, picked up the skeleton, and disappeared into the ice mist. A middle-aged mist person walked in front of Zhuo and made a strange bow to Zhuo's group. Respected guests, all future generations of mist people will remember what you have done for the mist people tribe. No matter when, you are our friends. Even though Zhuo felt slight pain that the ink jade bones had been carried away by the mist people, this also resolved a possible calamity. He hurriedly said, "You are too polite. This was just a coincidence. Speech is unable to express the gratefulness of our clan. Everyone, please, no matter what, come to be guests at our tribe for a few days, so that we can act as hosts." The middle-aged mist person said sincerely. Zhuo was slightly conflicted. "Apologies, we need to search for a water cloud embryo." The middle-aged mist person looked at Ague and understood. He then showed a smile and said, "Sire, do not worry. We know many places where water cloud embryos grow. Finishing, he spoke in a low tone to a mist person beside him. The language they spoke was strange, and Zuomo's group could not understand. The mist person nodded as he listened, and after he bowed respectfully to Zuomo's group, he turned and disappeared into the ice mist. I have ordered him to harvest water cloud embryos. Water cloud embryos are not rare in this area of the Cloud Sea, but there needs to be great care taken with the method of harvesting that few know of. Although the effects of the water cloud embryo are best when they are just harvested, our clan has some special methods that can maintain its efficacy after being harvested. The middle-aged mist person said to Zuomo. Zuomo instantly had a joyful expression on his face as he thanked the other person. Many thanks. Many thanks. Wei Sheng and Zhongru also had happy expressions. They had traveled for so long and expended such effort, but obtaining their target did not take any effort. The middle-aged mist person waved his hand and said, "Compared to the boon that Sir has given our clan, this minor matter is nothing." He ushered Zuomo to the side. "Guests, please." Zuomo's expression suddenly became slightly strange. After hesitating for a moment, he said, "That." The middle-aged mist person had a puzzled expression. "Sir, please voice any matters you have." Zuomo's old face was slightly red as he pointed at the mist person tears on the ground. "That. Can I first pick those up?" Zuomo did not notice that when he said this, the female mist person who had cried suddenly had a slight blush. The middle-aged person roared with laughter. His hand moved, and those mist person tears flew into his hand. He handed them to Zuomo. Zuomo carefully took them with a wide smile. These mist person tears were good treasures. Things that could receive a judgment of good treasure from Pu Yao were definitely unordinary treasures. Following behind the middle-aged mist person, the bone-achingly cold ice mist seemed to recognize them. It became a serene coolness that was comfortable. The middle-aged mist person was extremely amiable, and conversed while he continuously introduced the mist tribe to their guests. It was fine for Zuomo, who already knew the history of the mist people, but Wei Sheng and Zhongru gaped as they listened. The descendants of an ancient tribe that were isolated from the world? Then the skeleton is? Zuomo asked carefully and curiously. He was slightly worried that this would be a forbidden topic, but he could not resist his curiosity. It is the totem of our tribe, called Lan. The middle-aged mist person's eyes flashed with excitement and happiness. He then sighed. Ever since our clan has moved to this Jia tens of thousands of years ago, the totem of our tribe had vanished suddenly soon after. We lost all sense of where it was. Ever since then, the Shen power of the mist people weakened gradually, so we are only able to live in the depths of the Cloud Sea isolated from the world. Totem. Zuomo finally realized. He had many guesses about the skeleton, but he had not imagined it was a totem of a tribe. When the mist people lost their connection to Lan was definitely when the Sun Shen Temple had imprisoned Lan in the burning Shen realm. The Sun Shen tribe had declined, and its last Shen temple turned to dust. Yet Lan, who they had captured, managed to barely survive. When Zuomo spoke of this, everyone couldn't help but sigh. The middle-aged mist person nodded. So it was the Sun Shen tribe. No wonder. Even though we are isolated from the world, there are always one or two of our number that are sent into the ice mist to collect information. I heard that the bloodlines of the ancients have all died out on the outside. Looking at the middle-aged mist person's unresigned expression, Zuomo didn't know how to comfort him and could only nod. The middle-aged mist person was silent. As this news was confirmed, the last bit of hope he had was extinguished. A moment later he said in puzzlement, "Why have they died out?" Zuomo shook his head. "I don't know, there are probably many reasons." For some reason, he did not want to tell the other about the thousands of years of pursuit and killing four realm heavens did to the descendants of the ancients. He saw the depressed expression on the face of the middle-aged mist person and comforted. Now that Lan has been found, the Mist clan can resume its previous strength. That is just a matter of time. Hearing this, the middle-aged mist person finally showed a smile. Yes. As long as Lan is present, our clan can continue. He was full of confidence in Lan. They quickly approached the public gathering area of the Mist tribe. Along the way, an area appeared in front of Zuomo's group. It contained blue pools of various sizes. The sizes of these pools were all different, and the water was deep blue. Looking around, it seemed like thousands of mirrors. There were blue balls of mist floating on top of some ponds. It was possible to faintly discern the figures of mist people within the mist. These are the mist pools of our clan. Seeing Zhuomo's group show curiosity, the middle-aged mist person explained. Lan disappeared. We lost our totem and our belief had no place to go, and we were unable to produce Shin power. The ancestors spent great effort to create this mist pool body cultivation method to help our clan survive until now. Powerful. Zhuomo praised sincerely. No matter what, any person that could create their own method were very able. Seeing Zhuomo and the others, the mist people along the way bowed. Walking out of the mist pool area, large sections of blue building appeared in everyone's view. These buildings were completely blue as though they were constructed from crystal, and gave off the feeling of transparency. The walls flickered with light. It was this layer of light that blocked off the gazes of people outside, and prevented them from seeing inside. Each building was not large, and could only be called a small house. Other than the material that were exquisite in feeling, the style of the buildings were simple and basic. Occasionally, they could see faint wall paintings sketched in faint gray strokes. There were more mist people here than in the mist pools, but Zhuomo and the others found to their surprise that the strength of the mist people here seemed to be much weaker than the mist people they had originally met. Zhuomo suddenly saw an altar out of the corner of his eyes. The skeleton was on top of it. The sacrificial altar was surrounded by mist people as they worshipped it devoutly. Zhuomo found to his shock that the Shen power of the skeleton was stronger than just moments ago. It is a pity that we have lost Lan for too long. There is no priest in the clan. We can only worship daily and hope that Lan can recover as soon, and is able to protect the clan. The middle-aged mist person said emotionally. It will be very fast. Zhuomo strangely followed up. The middle-aged mist person paused and then smiled. When he finished saying this, Zhuomo suddenly seemed to feel something. The skeleton on the sacrificial altar seemed to be looking at him. This discovery caused his heart to jump, but when he looked closely, the feeling had disappeared. Zhuomo smiled. It seemed that he was really too nervous. Lan didn't even have a skull and no eyes. How could Lan be looking at him? Shaking his head and smiling, he followed the middle-aged mist person to walk towards the largest building. This is the conference room of the clan. The middle-aged mist person was apologetic. We have been isolated from the outside world for too long, and do not have any buildings to receive guests. Everyone, you will have to make do. Please forgive us for our shortcomings. Zhuomo and the others hurriedly said that he was too courteous. Walking into the conference hall, they found that the inside had clearly been just cleaned. There was a layer of pure white grass laid out on the ground. The table was piled up with all kinds of fruits and foods. Even though it was simple, it made people feel very comfortable. Stepping on the white carpet, everyone felt a wave of coolness seep into the body and their minds clear up. Their nervousness instantly eased and their tiredness swept away. It was unspeakably comfortable. A good thing. Zhuomo's eyes lit up. Chapter 532, Bihan Xiankong Temple. In the hall, Bihan was prostrated on the ground. He was not of tall height, his figure thin with hollow cheeks and an ordinary appearance. Bihan, how many years have you been in the temple? A warm and thick voice came from behind the thick cloth curtains. 17 years, Bihan answered after a long moment of silence. 17 years, time has passed so quickly, the sect leader sighed emotionally. You are good, I have seen your improvement in these years and is very comforted. Bihan was silent. In the younger generation, other than Little Jia, only you are able to become a gold battle general. Heard from behind the cloth, the sect leader's voice seemed to have a strange power, and was so warm it permeated the heart. Little Jia has done well in Bloody Sky Metropolis Jia. I know you can also do well. Bihan was silent. Your killing energy is too heavy. I am worried about you. The sect leader's words were full of concern. Having you chant sutras every day was in the hopes that your violent energies can be dissipated. I had always hoped that you would not be required to go into battle, and hadn't expected. The sect leader sighed. A moment later, he said serenely, Go, your Dingjin Shirshu will encounter danger in Cloud Sijia. Take the battalion to reinforce him. Ask Dingguang for information. You may leave. Bihan was silent. After kowtowing 3 times, he turned and left. The large doors of the hall closed without any wind. The hall was pitch black. A voice suddenly sounded. Sect leader, do we really need to send Bihan? He is a dangerous person. This matter is very important. We cannot be careless. Cloud Sea Jia might be an intermediate Jia. I've never heard of any powerful factions. Tianhuan was just tripped up there. Shen Wuhai is not among the top powers of Tianhuan, but he had Yuaniing cultivation. But Bihan, he is a vicious knife. We have to be careful his tendencies do not harm our people, but now that troubled times have come, it is time to use this knife. The sect leader said peacefully. The middle-aged Miss Person noticed that Zhuemo was interested in the white grass carpet. He introduced, these are cloud carpets woven from cloud silk grass. Cloud silk grass mostly grown in the deep of the cloud sea, and it takes great effort to harvest. But the most difficult step is processing it. It takes several months of effort to process each strand of cloud silk grass. The trio gaped. Just now on the road, Zhuemo finally learned the name of the middle-aged Miss Person. He was Bing Yao, the clan leader of the Miss People. The female Miss Person who had first encountered Zhuemo was Bing Yao's daughter, Bing Yu. Finished speaking, he waved his hand. The cloud carpet instantly shrank to the size of his hand and flew into his palm. He handed the cloud carpet to Zhuemo and said vigorously, I was troubled over what gift to give to little Zhua. Since little Zhua likes this, then this cloud carpet is little Zhua's. Zhuemo jumped in fright and waved his hand to refuse it. No. This one is already grateful that your clan is helping us search for water cloud embryos. Zhuemo had just learned the value of this cloud carpet from Bing Yao's description. If one strand of cloud silk grass needed that much effort to process, Zhuemo didn't dare to accept such a valuable gift. Pu Yao suddenly shouted urgently from the sea of consciousness. This is very good, accept it. I know it is good. Zhuemo responded unconcernedly. You know my ass. Pu Yao couldn't stop himself from cursing. This can be used to pass tribulations. Tribulations? Zhuemo's mind shifted, but before he could inquire further, he heard Bing Yao say with a smile, Brother Zhua, do not refuse. This cloud carpet can calm the mind and remove mental barriers. We Miss People are born with cold minds, and this is useless to use. Processing the cloud silk grass are what our younger ones use to cultivate ice mist. We feel that it is a pity to throw it away, so we have woven it into carpets. Also, Brother Zhua has returned Lan back to us, and a Yu has offended you just now, it really is. Bing Yao's speech caused Bing Yu to blush from behind him. This cloud carpet is just a token. No matter what, Brother Zhua has to accept it. Bing Yao's expression was serious. Seeing this, Zhuemo knew that he could not refuse and accepted it. Xiao Emogu was usually shamelessly greedy, but that was against outsiders. If the other really thought of him as a friend, he couldn't do things so shamelessly. He was not black-hearted enough. Zhuemo mockingly self-reflected as he took out the copper mask from the ring. He handed it to Bing Yao. I found this mask beside Lan. I do not know if this is also something belonging to Big Brother Bing's clan. Bing Yao took the copper mask and examined it closely for a while. He shook his head and said, The style does not look like an object of my clan. We will have to ask Lan for sure. If it is of my clan, I will have a thick face and accept it. If it is not, Lan will definitely know its origins, and I will return it to Brother Zhua at that time. Zhuemo said with a smile, No matter if it is or not, this is given to Big Brother Bing. Bing Yao smiled slightly and put away the mask. Right after, Bing Yao started inquiring to the outside world. They knew some, but what they knew was very general. Zhuemo spoke of the wars between Xiuzha and Yaoma, and then the sky-splitting calamity, and also the fact that he had taken over Cloud Sea Jia. Bing Yao listened with wide eyes and a gaping mouth. He had never expected the change in the outside world would be so drastic. However, when he learned that Zuo was the master of Cloud Sea Jia, he had a happy expression. With this, the mist people were in much better circumstances. Bing Yao patted his chest and said, "If Brothers Wen needs the mist people in the future, do not be courteous." Zuo felt very good about this open and generous Mist clan leader. He said with a smile, "I only hope that Big Brother Bing does not find me troublesome in the future." Bing Yao roared with laughter. "I think that Lan would not forgive me." The two sides chatted for a while more before Bing Yao bid his leave for Zuo and the others to rest. "Shitty, what you are cultivating is Shen power?" Wei Xing suddenly asked. Zuo knew that he could not conceal this any longer and nodded. It is called Sun Shen power, an inheritance from the ancient Sun tribe. So you were the one behind the Sun Shen temple matter. Wei Xing was not stupid and instantly understood. He then asked curiously, "Come, let me try your Shen power. I have never seen Shen power before." Zhong Ru's face was also turned over. He clearly was also extremely curious as well. Zuo suddenly moved into a strange posture, his two hands crossing and twisted together, his body leaning slightly towards the right as the tip of his right foot was just touching the ground. An extremely hard and yang power suddenly spread in all directions with him as the epicenter. Wei Sheng's pupils suddenly contracted. Threads of black energy suddenly floated out of the black sword in his hand as he swung the sword repeatedly in the air. Pia pia pia. Explosions occurred at the tip of his sword. Zhong Ru's expression changed, and he spun the cross prayer wheel. The sutra characters that were shrouded in wish power shielded him from the front. Bam bam bam. 3 sutra characters exploded before they managed to stop this wave of Shen power. Resting his sword, Wei Xing thought back and said after a moment, "Such a strange power. As expected, it is different than anything else." Zhongru was also savoring it. He followed. Normal spells would have a difficult time stopping it. Zuo thought, and then stated his conclusion. Shen power can be seen as the product of combining 3 powers together. 3 powers. Wei Sheng's expression changed. Anling power, spiritual consciousness, Mo skills. Zuo's words flowed. Wei Xing Xixiang was a genius. Zhongru was low-key, but in order to have cultivated wish power, he also did not lack talent. These things might be of great use to him. He used even more care and energy to explain and spoke of everything he had felt and concluded regarding Shen power. He also told them the basic methods to cultivate Shen power. As to how much inspiration they would get, that depended on their individual luck. Wei Sheng and Zhongru both sank into deep thought. The two had already found the edge of power. To them, Shen power was akin to opening a window to another world. There was too much content they needed to digest. Like 2 wooden puppets, they sat motionlessly and entered a meditative state. Seeing this, Zuo did not disturb them. He took a Gui and the little ones to sit at the side. Taking up a Gui's hand, Zuo hurriedly inspected a Gui. Since he knew it was Shen power, Zuo's inspection was even more detailed and focused. Even though his understanding of Shen power was still very shallow, he still made discoveries. What he was first sure of was that the purple energy inside a Gui's body was a kind of Shen power. It was a very strange Shen power. Zuo felt that if it was Shen power, it definitely would not be normal. But even so, the Shen power inside a Gui's body shocked him. Dark, cold, strange, and able to consume any life. The moment the Sun Shen power came into contact with a Gui's Shen power, Zuo felt as though he was suddenly pulled into a deathly silent void. There was no sound, no light, no heat. It was a void that created hopelessness. Zuo's mind in that instant was like a candle's flame wavering in the wind, and was almost extinguished. Fortunately, his Shen power was much stronger than a Gui's Shen power. The Sun Shen power was innately extremely hard and yang, so this difference had saved Zuo's life. His Shen power was carefully withdrawn from a Gui's body. Zuo looked at a Gui's ugly and wooden face. For some unknown reason, Zuo was in a low mood. His eyes were full of deep worry. As his understanding of Shen power deepened by the day, Zuo was clear how great the effects of Shen power was on people. It wasn't just Shen power, the 3 powers also had effects. Xiozha that cultivated fire spells usually had fiery tempers. Those that cultivated ice-type spells were usually cold and unaffected by emotion. Such a strange and dark Shen power. And the terrifying seal of all 6 senses, Ague. Thinking about the manner in which Ague had used Shen power before she had been wounded, Zuomo's worries increased. Zuomo had found a long time ago that Agui's body was in a terrible state. If it was not for this strange power, it probably would not have survived until now. But only today did he understand the terrifying nature of this Shen power. The scene of Ague shielding him appeared suddenly in his mind. That hopeless and deathly void. Even just one moment in it caused him to shudder. The Shen power had also been in Agui's body all this time. There seemed to be something weighing on Zuomo's heart, and he felt unspeakably uncomfortable. Water cloud embryo. If they could find a water cloud embryo, he could definitely heal Ague. Then he would find a way to heal Agui's wounds and eliminate this terrifying Shen power from Agui's body. It was the first time Zuomo felt that time was passing by so slowly. Each day was like a year. Chapter 533. Sim Battalion Bihan turned his head back to look at the temple floating in the sky. The tower peaks could be faintly discerned sticking out from the top of the clouds. By his side, a strange battalion was standing silently. This battalion was extremely strange. Some of them had cow heads, others horse bodies. Some had rhinoceros horns growing out of their foreheads. Any Xiozha that saw this battalion would be in for a great show. These people were all Mo. They were motionless like statues, their eyes dull and a deathly gray-white. Golden seal scripts covered their bodies like beautiful tattoos. This battalion was one of the most famous battalions of Xiankong Temple. It had a strange name, Sim Battalion. Bihan turned his gaze away and led at the front. The entire battalion slid past like water. Cloud Sijia. Bihan said lightly to himself. The surroundings were completely silent. In Sim Battalion, there were no vice commanders. Zuomo suppressed the urgency he felt and kept his expression calm as he talked about all kinds of topics with clan leader Bing Yao. The young people in the clan liked to crowd around the two of them and listen to the stories. After being kept in isolation for so long, they were full of curiosity about the outside world. Wei Sheng and Zhongru woke up from their meditation. Both of their presences showed clear changes. Zuomo was extremely happy. It seemed that his words had been of some help to them, even though he did not know how great of gains they achieved. Wei Sheng and Zhongru saw that Zuomo was surrounded by many people, so they went into the corner to keep on pondering about Shen power. Fortunately, Zuomo had gone to many places, and was comparatively experienced. Otherwise, he would have run out of topics long ago. No matter what Zuomo said, the young mist people listened with great interest. Suddenly, a figure stumbled in. On his back was an unconscious mist person. Zuomo's pupils contracted. This was the individual who had been sent to harvest water cloud embryos that day. Bing Yao's expression suddenly darkened. With a flash, he appeared in front of the wounded mist person. A blue energy flashed on his hand as he carefully examined the other person. Then he questioned the mist person who had carried the wounded companion with a stern tone. He was inquiring in great detail, but due to the difference in language, Zuomo did not understand. After finishing, Bing Yao raised his head and explained to Zuomo, "Someone fought and injured him. People are traveling into the restricted land." Zuomo suddenly recalled the group from Xiankong Temple, and his heart jumped. He hurriedly asked, "Big brother Bing, will you allow my fellow to examine this person's injuries?" Bing Yao nodded and retreated to the side. Zuomo indicated for Zhongru to come forward. Zhongru put his hand on the injured mist person, and then after a few moments, he nodded towards Zuomo. "Has brothers would discovered something?" Seeing this, Bing Yao couldn't resist asking. Seeing Zhongru nodded, Zuomo instantly understood and explained. "On our way, we encountered 4 Diana Xiao from Xiankong Temple. Based on the injuries of this brother, he was wounded by a Diana Xiao. I speculate that it could be the 4 Diana Xiao from Xiankong Temple." Xiankong Temple. Bing Yao's face darkened. In the recent days, Zuomo had been introducing the state of the outside world to them. He had a general understanding of what Xiankong Temple was. Bing Yao did not hesitate and said decisively, "No matter what, this clan will fight to the last remaining member, and will not allow anyone to enter the restricted lands." Finishing, several mist people ran out of the conference hall. Strange howls sounded in all directions. Hearing the howls, large numbers of mist people warriors gathered like the tide from all directions in the conference hall. As Bing Yao spoke to them, all of the mist people had murderousness on their faces. "Brother Zhua, your group can first stay." Bing Yao eased his tone as he turned to Zhua Mo to speak. "Big brother Bing is too polite," Zhua Mo said with a serious expression. "This little brother has been waiting for an opportunity. Big brother Bing does not know, but this group of thieving baldies have tried to entrap us on our way through the Cloud Sea. I have been thinking about how to get even, and this opportunity has delivered itself. Also, this brother was wounded in the pursuit of finding water cloud embryos for us. There is no honorable rationale for us to stand back and only observe." Bing Yao's eyes were filled with an admiring light. He patted Zhua Mo's shoulder heavily. "Good. I will accept you as a brother. Go. Let us go together." Xiankong Temple. "Shirshu, the person just now was so strange," Ming Jing said with lingering shock. The blue figure had been like a ghost. If Shirshu had not attacked and heavily injured the other, they would not be safe and uninjured now. Ding Zhen, whose expression was usually warm, was now extremely dark. He squeezed out through his teeth, "That is a mist person." The three disciples were frightened by the viciousness of Ding Zhen's face. A long while later, someone asked carefully, "Shirshu, what is the mist person?" "The remnant bastards of an ancient line." Ding Zhen noticed the expressions of the three disciples, and relaxed his expression. "Remember for the future, if you encounter members of ancient descent lines, report them to the sect." The three were stunned by Ding Zhen's stern tone and nodded in compliance. Ding Zhen suddenly closed his mouth. He had hit that mist person with his attack, but had not found the corpse afterwards. He definitely had fellows that helped him escape. Was it a mist person tribe? Ding Zhen became alert. If that was true, then this trip was really worth it. Even if he did not find that object, just the discovery of the Mist People tribe would be enough for the sect to reward him. He started to cast a spell, and his Ling power shifted slightly. A circle of golden light flashed at his fingertips. Ding Zhen opened his eyes and sighed inwardly. The ice mist was slightly strange. He was unable to deliver any message to the outside and back to the sect. Ding Zhen became wary. These descendant of ancients most likely had a few tricks if they had managed to survive until now. Xiankong Temple was full of experts and the division of responsibilities was extremely fine. Specialized matters were taken care of by specialized people. Ding Zhen had never participated in this kind of mission. Truthfully, if they had not been the closest ones to Cloud Sea Jia, they would not have received this mission. No matter what, it was most important to finish the mission. "Be careful, let's go," Ding Zhen said heavily. "The matter this time is strange. If something goes wrong, turn and run. Do not hesitate, understand?" Ding Zhen was not a person who held power or status in the sect, otherwise he would not have been sent out on such a low-level mission, taking disciples out to gain experience. It was not that his power was not enough, but that he was not well liked by the main decision-makers of the sect. He did not want anything to happen to the disciples on his watch. The protocols of the sect were strict. If there were not any orders, the punishment for fleeing was very heavy. "Yes, Shirshu," the three hurriedly replied. Bihan carefully browsed the information in the Jade Scroll. This was the 15th time. The information had been gathered by the sect, and included all kinds of information about Turtle Island. Bihan could see that the sect had not been paying attention to Turtle Island for too long of a time. It should have just started gathering information a few days ago. Otherwise, the information would not be so sparse. Bihan knew the power of the sect in gathering intelligence. Given enough time, they could find almost any information that could be imagined. There was nothing special in the report on Cloud Sea Jia. This was a remote intermediate Jia, and did not have a significant faction in the past. The main point of the intelligence report was on this faction called Turtle Island. This faction was very strong and had defeated a Mo army. Seeing the words Mo army, Bihan's pupils uncontrollably contracted even though this was the 15th time. The scale of the Mo army was unknown, but none of the local powers were able to stop them, which had caused the entire Jia to flee. The situation was only improved when Turtle Island stepped up and said they were going to fight the Mo army. Cloud Sea Jia was remote and did not have many products, so it had not attracted attention in the past. None of the tendrils of the Four Realms had reached this place. One of the most important reasons for this was that Cloud Sea Jia did not have a Jia master. Up until now, the Jia key of Cloud Sea Jia was still undiscovered. This attracted Bihan's attention. The Jia key was of crucial importance to every Jia. For every person, this meant peerless wealth. Possessing the Jia key granted the ability to see the Ling veins and ores in the Jia. Other than that, the Jia key could also control the Ling energy of the Jia. Usually, the Jia key would be found soon after a Jia was discovered. The Xiuzha which flooded in would crazily search for the Jia key. It was wealth that could drive people insane. Strangely, the Jia key of Cloud Sea Jia had not been found yet, and the history of Xiuzha residence on Cloud Sea Jia was uncertain, but definitely over 1,000 years. It was impossible that no one had searched for the Jia key during such a long period time. Only by possessing the Jia key will one become the true master of Cloud Sea Jia. Bihan was speculating to the true intentions of the sect. The sect leader said that it was to help Dingjun, but Bihan did not believe him at all. He knew Dingjun's status in the sect. It was a joke that the sect leader would send a battalion just to help Dingjun. Also, they had let him venture out. After he had gotten his gold battle general jade medal, he had been forced into house arrest and to chant sutras every day. No one appeared to be guarding the door, but Bihan knew that there were countless pairs of eyes staring at his little yard from the shadows. There were elders in the sect that said he was bloodthirsty. Thinking about this, he couldn't help but smile coldly. Jiangzhu appeared handsome and gentle, but he was not soft when he started to kill. He never heard of any elder calling Jiangzhu bloodthirsty. All of this was just because he suddenly turned his head and looked at the Sin battalion in front of him. The golden restrictive sutra characters were as blinding as sunlight in his eyes. A beat later, he took his gaze away and thought deeply without any expression on his face. The sect had even prepared transportation formations for him to be transported directly into Cloud Sea Jia. The expenditure for this mission was astounding, and it was possible to see how much the sect prioritized this. To transport directly into Cloud Sea Jia. The sect had sent spies into Cloud Sea Jia a long time ago. What were they planning? Only when the light of the transportation formation entered his eyes did he break free of his thoughts. Several Diana Xiu were standing by the transportation. The one that was the leader stepped forward and said respectfully, "Bihan Darren, the transportation formation has been prepared. You can depart at any time." Bihan did not even look at the other. He walked directly towards the transportation formation expressionlessly. The Sin battalion was behind him and silent as though they were dead. Chapter 534. Lantern Fire Buddhist Boundary. Everyone traveled quickly through the ice mist. The mist people were born living in the ice mist, and had methods to freely move within it. Mo could see some hints as to what method they used. The mist people beside him formed thin ice mist shield. These rhombus ice mist shields allowed them to skate through the ice mist. Mo's mind shifted. He consciously started to mimic the mist people. He was unable to manipulate the ice mist, but he had other methods. At the beginning, he failed completely, but as the number of failures increased, Mo slowly found the method. At the beginning, he used Ling power, but he quickly found that Ling power was expended quickly. Then he switched to spiritual consciousness. It was also expended quickly. In the end, he found that Shen power was the most effective, and its expenditure was almost negligible. However, it was much harder to control Shen power than Ling power and spiritual consciousness. Mo could only barely maintain it. Wei Xing quickly noticed what Mo was doing. With a glance he understood. Wei Xing was extremely intelligent, and his skill in sword essence very high. He was not a jack of all trades like Mo and quickly grasped the trick. He used the sword essence to form a rhombus shield around him, and his speed suddenly increased. Wei Sheng's display stunned Bing Yao and the others. Bing Yao suddenly snorted coldly. In the front, I found him. Ding Zhen suddenly had a feeling of danger. He stopped in his steps. His expression changed abruptly, as he shouted at the trio of disciples, "Quick run!" The trio stilled and their faces paled. They were not slow in their reaction, turning and then running in 3 different directions. There were sounds of rustling. 3 blue lights flew out of the ice mist and accurately struck the 3 disciples. Blue ice mist spread at a visible rate. Their terrified expressions froze on their faces as they turned into ice statues. Pia pia pia. The 3 ice statues smashed to the ground and instantly shattered. Ding Zhen glared angrily, his eyes bloodshot. However, he did not counterattack and shot towards the ice mist. His heart was full of shock. He had to pass this news back to the sect. There was a mist people tribe of such scale. Want to run? Bing Yao's face was full of murderousness. With a cold snort, he pointed at the ice mist. Hiss hiss. 2 light sounds hissed like poisonous snakes as the mist shifted. 2 thin strands of ice mist shot towards Ding Zhen. 2 burning rays of blue light penetrated Ding Zhen's body in an instant. Yet Bing Yao's expression suddenly changed slightly. Ding Zhen's figure slowly faded within the ice mist until it disappeared. What had been penetrated was just his after-image. Everyone stepped back. Bing Yao suddenly said. The mist people retreated like the tide, leaving Bing Yao to stand at the front. Zuoyamo and the others also retreated to one side. But Zuoyamo was more thoughtful. Zuoyamo and his group retreated to the flanks to prevent the other from running away. Ding Zhen's figure slowly appeared. He stared tightly at Bing Yao and slowly spoke. I had not expected to encounter ancient descendants. Ding Zhen is very fortunate. Bing Yao was unaffected and said coldly, Why have you trespassed into our restricted lands? Restricted lands? Ding Zhen's eyelids jumped. So that object is on your hands. That object? Bing Yao's gaze focused. Haha, Ding Zhen smiled faintly. Do not waste words. I see that all the people here only you are close to me in strength. It will depend solely on Sir's strength if you can keep me here. Bing Yao did not speak. He spread his arms, his fingers spread wide. 10 blue rays of light dangled from his fingertips like 10 blue threads of light. Ding Zhen's talisman was extremely unique. It was the wooden fish one he usually used when chanting. The wooden fish was completely black and covered in minuscule vermilion sutra characters. The wooden mallet was also filled with squiggly sutra characters. The moment Ding Zhen took out the wooden fish, Zuoyamo and the others changed expression. 7th grade talisman. This was definitely a 7th grade talisman. It was not surprising that Ding Zhen had a 7th grade talisman. No one would believe that a Yuanying Xiuzha from Xiankong Temple would not have a 7th grade talismans. Zuoyamo and the others knew the power of a 7th grade talisman. Zhong Ru's prayer wheel was a 7th grade talisman. Both were 7th grade talismans, but the power they had in the hands of Jindan and Yuanying was drastically different. 7th grade talismans were the top talismans Jindan could use, and due to limitations in cultivation, Jindan Xiuzha usually could only express 20% of a 7th grade talisman's potential. The great majority could only use 1/10. Yuanying Xiuzha could use all the potential of a 7th grade talisman. The strength of a Xiuzha depended on many factors. Ling power, the quality of the spell cultivated, the depth of personal understanding, talismans, etc. But the chasm in power between Yuanying and Jindan was one that was uncrossable. No matter in what skill, Yuanying Xiuzha had an absolute advantage. So when he saw the wooden fish that Ding Zhen took out was a 7th grade talisman, Zuoyamo instantly had a bad feeling. The destruction that a Yuanying Xiuzha pushed to the edge could release. Looking at Ding Zhen that was holding the wooden fish and mallet with a grave expression, Zuoyamo could only hope that Bing Yao would be able to withstand the attack. Yuanying was still something that made him feel unconfident. Zuoyamo tried to keep his expression calm, but Wei Sheng and Zhong Ru were full of fighting spirit. Ding Zhen sat down on the ground as though he was not surrounded. He put the wooden fish next to him. His head bent low and his eyes looked down as he started to drum against the fish and chant. Bioem bioem bi. The sounds from the wooden fish seemed to come from the ancient temples in deep valleys, and were just faintly discernible. The light in the surroundings slowly dimmed. The blueness of the ice mist in their view was consumed by a darkness. Figures seemed to walk out of the darkness and solidify. Those were Diana Xiao half-dressed in monk robes with exposed shoulders. These figures did not seem to see Zhuomo's group, and bent at their waists. A dot of candle light lit up an empty space. The Diana Xiao continued to bend down and ignite candle fires. The dots of candle fire lit up one after another, swaying like the stars in the sky. Waves of Buddhist song came from the figures' candle lights. Zhuomo's face was full of astonishment. Weisheng tightly gripped the black sword as excitement pulsed furiously in his eyes. He murmured to himself, "Is this the true boundary?" Boundary. Zhuo recovered from his shock. Hearing this, he was stunned. He's a sword xiao? Zhuo only knew that boundary was a high level of sword essence. Eldest Shixiang had reached the edge of comprehending it. Not a sword xiao. Weisheng's burning gaze did not move as he said gravely, "No matter if it is sword xiao, seal xiao, Diana xiao, when they cultivate to a certain stage, the paths all merge together with the comprehension of boundary." Zhongru explained at this time. The Diana xiao call this the great freedom. His tone exposed his longing. His comprehension ability was not as high as Weisheng. Even though he possessed the rare wish power, his level was not high and he had not reached the stage of boundary yet. Zhuo did not blush at his own ignorance of cultivation. He rubbed his chin and asked, "Is this an illusion? This thieving baldy is skilled in illusory spells. We almost got tricked on the way here." "It is not an illusory art." Weisheng shook his head and struggled. "I do not know how to explain, but he is very powerful. We need to be careful." "A Yuanying thieving baldy is still a Yuanying." Zhuo agreed. "No, that is not what I mean." Weisheng shook his head again. "Boundary is a dividing line. There is a world of a difference between those who have and have not comprehended it. Boundary is related to comprehension but not cultivation. Not all Yuanying can comprehend boundary." Zhuo instantly became nervous. Eldest Shixiang is saying this thieving baldy is a high-level thieving baldy among the Yuanying thieving baldies? Weisheng had a conflicted expression. No and yes. The implications to our situation are about the same. How many rounds can we survive against him? Zhuo decided to ask a very pragmatic question. "I don't know." Weisheng shook his head. "We may not even be able to stand up against one move." Shidiyor? When he said this, Weisheng had a wary expression. He instantly halted and then said indistinctly, "That's strange. I don't understand much of it." Hearing this, Zhuo instantly understood. Even though Weisheng did not state it clearly, what he meant was that the possibility they wouldn't last one move was very high. He instantly said weakly, "Why don't we hide behind Big Brother Bing Yao? It seems that Big Brother Bing Yao is very powerful." Bing Yao was standing in a patch of figures and candlelights without any trace of panic on his face. The 10-hair-thin blue rays of light floated in the air. They continuously grew. The other ends of the rays reached deep into the darkness, and the end could not be seen. It was clear this was a battle of a higher level, one that surpassed the abilities of Zhuo and the others. Ding Zhen's light sai came from the sea of candlelight. A branch of the ancients is as wondrous as expected. This one's lantern light Buddhist boundary is not completely successful. Powerful. The ground under Bing Yao's feet was covered with faint blue ice mist in a radius of 1 zhang. The blue light that it released was abnormally eye-catching against this black sea of candlelight. Bing Yao's expression was cold, but a hint of admiration flashed through his eyes. "If we were not in the ice mist, I am not a match for you." His expression suddenly turned stern as the blue light flashed through his eyes. "But right now, die." His hands spread. The 10 blue strands of light suddenly brightened and flying into the air. Innumerable blue threads of light swept through the candlelight sea, and the Diana Xiao that were igniting candles. Everywhere the lights passed an extremely cold frost spread in all directions. The candle lights that were swept by the blue light did not extinguish. They seemed to stop as though they were frozen. The white frost that came after the lights spread onto the surfaces of the flames. The frost then thickened and encased and sealed the candle lights. The glowing ice crystals were regular cubes. At the center of each cube was a frozen candle light. The light it released refracted within the cube, becoming bright and eerie. The ice crystals that sealed the candle lights floated in the air like stars. Ding Zhen's brows moved, his expression becoming even more dignified and authoritative. The red squiggly sutra characters on the wooden fish and mallet seemed to come alive and slowly move. Suddenly, a golden sutra character flew out of the mouth of the wooden fish. Then a stream of golden sutra characters flew out of the wooden fish into the air. In a flash, the sky was filled with gold and glimmering sutra characters. A sutra character floated past Zhongru. Eyes closed, Zhongru's body shuddered violently, and a shocked expression rose on his face. 1. A wooden fish, muyu or makujio, is a wooden percussion instrument used by monks during rituals involving the recitation of sutras, mantras, or other Buddhist texts. Chapter 535. Sneak attack. The sutra characters were like leaves floating in the wind that scattered into every corner. These beautiful gold leaves carried the calm presence unique to Diana Xiao, and made people unconsciously intoxicated. Zhongru's expression suddenly changed, and he stepped forward. Threads of wish power wrapped onto the cross prayer wheel, and the talisman lit up. A circle of sutra characters suddenly lit up on the prayer wheel. The faint gold light covered Zhua Mo and Weisheng behind him. Dong. The sounds of Diana chanting echoed. All of the sutra characters suddenly exploded. They turned to slender golden lines that swept through every part of the space. The ice crystals that had been floating in the air were struck by the gold lights. With crisp sounds, they turned to ice shards. In this time, the space became filled with ice shards. The candle flames that had been sealed in ice suddenly exploded in size. Each of them were the size of a fist and wavered as they floated in the air. The light shield that Zhongru had released was unusually fragile in front of these minuscule golden lights. The two were not on the same level of power. Innate differences were completely revealed now. The shield of light shattered instantly. Zhongru gave a muffled grunt and stumbled back multiple steps. Weisheng's expression changed slightly. He held the black sword across his body. A hole suddenly seemed to open in the space in front of him. The golden lights were instantly consumed by this hole. An imperceptible sound came from Ding Zhen. He glanced at Weisheng with slight surprise. He had a high opinion of Weisheng before, but he had never thought that this youth that looked outrageously young had already reached the border of boundary. Such a genius. Which sect did he come from? How did they end up together with the Mist People? Did this sect dare to publicly break the rules of the Four Realms? Ding Zhen's praise and puzzlement swept past. In his eyes, Weisheng's boundary was crude and weak. Ding Zhen did not hold any real power in the sect, but due to this he could focus more on cultivation. 20 years ago he had stepped into the doorway of boundary, and created his Lantern Fire Buddhist boundary. His exploration and perfecting during these 20 years had caused his Lantern Fire Buddhist boundary to grow significantly. The sect leader of Xiankong Temple was one of the rare few that knew Ding Zhen's true power. So even when he knew that Tianhuan's Sheng Wuhai had been defeated and retreated from Cloud Sijie, the sect leader had still believed that Ding Zhen had the power to complete this mission. The air vibrated as though there was an invisible hand that gathered all the golden hairs of light. It formed an enormous whirlpool that suddenly appeared in front of Weisheng. The hair-thin lines entered the hole in front of Weisheng. The hole suddenly shook. Weisheng's expression suddenly changed. Before he could react, the hole exploded with an enormous bang. Weisheng's body shook, but he did not retreat even one step. A trace of blood dripped out the corner of his mouth. Injured, Weisheng did not give up. His burning gaze was locked onto Ding Zhen. Of determined personality, such a good talent. Ding Zhen couldn't help but praise inside. It was a pity. A thread of sharp light flashed through Ding Zhen's sharp and gentle eyes. Bing Yao's expression was very ugly. The other's strength clearly surpassed his. The Mist People that had lost their totem had struggled to survive for tens of thousands of years in the depths of the Cloud Sea. Without realizing it, their strength had degraded. This kind of degradation was made clearer when they faced a top sect like Xiankong Temple. No matter what, they could not let him escape. Bing Yao knew that if the other escaped, what was waiting for the Mist People was gradual extermination. Compared to Xiankong Temple, the present Mist People tribe was as fragile as a baby. But we found Lan. Bing Yao believed the Mist People tribe that had found Lan again would become strong, just like they were tens of thousands of years ago. But that required time. They definitely could not let this person leave alive. Bing Yao had never felt such a deep belief before. His pupils became even more transparent and blue as though all impurities had been eliminated. They reflected the burning sea of candlelights. A faint blue and glacial presence rose from Bing Yao's feet. Bing Yao closed his eyes and raised his arms up high. The 10 blue threads of light burrowed into the darkness like roots. Ding Zhen's expression changed slightly. He had not expected the other to go all out so quickly. Bing Yao's resolve caused Ding Zhen's Diana heart to waver for the first time. This thread of wavering and hesitation was an extremely fatal weakness. Bing Yao opened his eyes. A blue light flashed through his pupils. Without any warning, the blue threads of light shattered and scattered. Everywhere the eye looked, there were broken fragments of the blue threads of light. They were like rootless willow branches that slowly fell. Ding Zhen's eyes became extremely wary. His Ling power furiously flooded into the wooden hammer in his hand. Dong dong dong. With every strike against the wooden fish, the candle lights floating in the air would jump and the flames would grow a fraction bigger. Karmic fire. Zhong Ru's face was ashen. He has already been wounded in the previous attack and his voice was hoarse. Zuo had originally been thinking of how to dodge, but Zhongru and Wei Sheng's injuries caused him to throw his thought of dodging away. New and old grievances gathered. He stared hatefully at Ding Zhe and searched for a chance to attack the other. When he saw the karmic fire pulsing, he smiled darkly. Playing with fire. Who was more skilled than he was? Even if the other was an old Yuanying monster, he wasn't afraid. His road to prosperity had almost started through playing with fire. Karmic fire was an extremely poisonous fire of the Diana Xiao. If one was touched, even their souls would burn to dust. Even Yuanying Xiaozhe feared it. But Zuo was not afraid. The karmic fire was powerful, but it was a 6th grade flame, the same level as the Great Day Banded flame. Even more, he also had the wondrous treasure of the Sun Crystal Seed. The power difference between himself and the other was great. Even if Zuo was more skilled in controlling fire, he would not have any chance of victory if he directly faced Ding Zhen. But Zuo was such a dark and cunning person. Would he face Ding Zhen openly? Eldest Shixiang's speculation allowed Zuo to understand the difference in power. Zhongru and Wei Sheng's wounds after their attacks allowed Zuo to gain a deep understanding of this difference. There was no chance if he charged from the front. He forced down the battle spirit inside and patiently waited for a chance. He was like a poisonous snake hiding in the dark, waiting for the chance to deliver a fatal strike. When he saw the candle fire that grew explosively reach towards the thread of light, he did not hesitate to act. His hands spread apart, and the Great Day Banded flame was released without any restraint. The layers of banded flame flowered angrily. In the darkness, Zuo was instantly swallowed by the Great Day Banded flame. He seemed to be made from flame with layers of bright flame around him, and was extremely eye-catching. The karmic fire strangely paused for a brief moment. The karmic fire was an extremely yin fire, but the Great Day Banded flame was an extremely yang flame. When the Great Day Banded flame was released, the karmic fire in the sky was affected. This was the most basic conflict of yin and yang in the world. Ding Zhen's lantern fire Buddhist boundary had karmic fire incorporated in it, but that was not its primary focus. He had not spent much time on processing karmic fire. Diana Xiao usually disliked the maliciousness of karmic fire, a preference which gave Zuo this opportunity. The pause was extremely short. But in this extremely brief moment, those blue strands of light slipped past and landed on the ground. Ding Zhen's expression suddenly changed. How was this possible? That guy. He hadn't detected any abnormality at all. Ding Zhen almost didn't believe his eyes. He had met Zuo's group a few times, but every time, his gaze was drawn to Wei Sheng and Zhongru. He had never spared Zuo a thought. In his eyes, Zuomo was so average Dingzhen wouldn't be able to discover him in the crowd. But this youth that looked extremely average had suddenly given him a fatal blow. Such a poisonous personality. He was able to hide for so long. A wave of coldness rose in Dingzhen's mind, but at this time, he did not have the time to look at Zuomo. Those fragile-looking blue strands of silk gave him a dangerous feeling. Such a strong feeling of danger had not appeared for over 2 decades. The moment the blue strands landed on the ground, they burrowed underground. Patches of blue sprouts quickly rose out of the ground. The feeling of danger increased, so strong that Dingzhen felt as though he was standing at the edge of a cliff. If he wasn't careful, he would fall into an abyss. Dingzhen started to sweat, and his face was pale. He could clearly feel the blue sprouts breaking through his lantern fire Buddhist boundary easily, like they were passing through soil. What was this? Innumerable threads entered the ground and grew into blue sprouts. In almost an instant, his lantern fire Buddhist boundary was riddled full of holes. It had been defeated like this. In this moment, Dingzhen's expression was dazed. 20 years ago, he comprehended his own boundary and named it Lantern Fire Buddhist Boundary. Over the next 20 years, he spent almost all of his time perfecting it. It became stronger and more complete. He believed that Xiuzhe in Yuanying could not defeat his Lantern Fire Buddhist boundary. The Lantern Fire Buddhist boundary that was now full of holes continuously trembled, the candle flames wavering. A thought suddenly appeared in Dingzhen's mind, a candle flame flickering in the wind. He instantly aged, his smooth skin quickly overtaken by wrinkles. His heart was dead. The darkness dissipated, the candle flames extinguished, the changing faded. The wooden hammer in Dingzhen's hand cracked, the wooden fish shattering into dozens of pieces and falling to the ground. Dingzhen's gaze suddenly locked onto Zuomo. His gaze suddenly became vicious. A black line that squiggled like an earthworm climbed onto his face, and was alarming to see. It was him. It was him that ruined the Lantern Fire Buddhist boundary. Zhong Ru's face suddenly changed. Not good. He has gone insane. As the warning was spoken, Dingzhen disappeared from his spot. After Bing Yao's attack, his expression was tired. Seeing this, his expression changed, but he wasn't even able to move a finger. Zuomo reacted quickly. Before Zhong Ru finished speaking, he detected danger. He instinctively prepared to dodge, but he suddenly thought about the two behind him. Wei Sheng and Zhong Ru were unable to fight. After a Gui had acted against the mist person, she had sank back into silence, and the little ones. Blood flooded Zuomo's head. He moved forward rather than back. There was no time to turn Shen power into the 3 powers. He could not worry about such things. Channeling his Shen power, his body moved towards Dingzhen in a strange posture. Chapter 536. Sudden change. All of the Shen power in his body pushed into his palm, and a layer of faint golden light appeared on Zuomo's hand. In this instant, Zuomo had a feeling that he could destroy anything. However, this feeling came quickly and left even quicker. The awesome power of Dingzhen came at him without any finesse. The air solidified, and terror gripped Zuomo as he strangled, and seemed to be suffocated. Time seemed to freeze at this moment. There were dense black lines etched across Dingzhen's face like spiderwebs, and a vicious and bloodthirsty smile was extremely clear. Zuomo's mind was completely blank as he furiously slapped his hands forward. Boom! Zuomo felt as though he was hit by an rampaging rhinoceros. His vision darkened and he lost consciousness. His body was powerfully deflected and instantly disappeared into the thick ice mist. Die. You will all die. Dingzhen was crazy. A golden palm print was visible on the front of his chest. He did not seem to detect it. The presence he exuded shrouded the entire battlefield. The mad Dingzhen had let his power run berserk while in his death throes. Everyone watched as Zuomo's figure disappeared into the ice mist, but they were unable to move their bodies. Silly Bird's claws were tightly pierced into the ground, all the feathers on her body standing up as she trembled to resist the pressure of Dingzhen. She looked unblinkingly in the direction that Zuomo had disappeared with bloodshot eyes. The most powerful of the little ones, Silly Bird, had a hard time resisting this pressure, and the rest were worse off. except for a Gui. The moment Swordsmanship disappeared, a purple energy suddenly flashed through a Gui's eyes as she leapt at Swordsmanship. Die! Ding Zhen shouted viciously as he struck out at a Gui's back. A Gui did not seem to detect him. Pia! Ding Zhen's hand struck a Gui's back. A Gui's figure shook, but she used this force to increase her speed. Like an arrow shooting from a bow, she entered the ice mist. Ding Zhen did not chase her. He roared with insane laughter. Suddenly, a bolt of bright light was released from inside Ding Zhen's body. It was like a sharp gold sword that cut through his body. Ding Zhen's body froze. Countless golden lights shot out of his body, like he was a hedgehog. Boom! An enormous golden ball of light illuminated the entire cloud sea like the rising sun. Everyone found their visions turned head white, and were unable to see anything. The powerful wave rampaged in all directions. The explosion of a Yuanying surpassed the power of any talisman. Every person present was like a fallen leaf that was swept up in the storm. They were unable to steady their bodies and were scattered around. When the dust settled and the light dissipated, their visions recovered. What they saw was an enormous and deep hole that was over 20 li in diameter. It showed them just how powerful the explosion had been. The first thing Wei Sheng and the others did after recovering was search for Swordsmanship and a Gui. The other mist people quickly recovered. It was fortunate that Bing Yao had told the other mist people to retreat at the start. The injuries they received was much less compared to those in the fight, and they now flew within the ice mist to search for Swordsmanship and a Gui. The Buddhist beads on Bihan's wrist suddenly lit you. Expressionlessly fiddled with the beads as a voice entered his ears. In the Diana Tower, Ding Zhen's candle flame has extinguished. The messenger's voice was extremely aloof and without any emotion. After hearing this, there was only silence. Bihan seemed to only have heard some news unrelated to him, and his expression did not change at all. At his feet, several Xiankong Temple outer sect disciples were lying in puddles of blood. The light of the transportation formation continuously flashed, and was eerily reflected by the blood covering the ground. A short time later, a brawny figure came out of the transportation formation. When the incomer saw Bihan, his expression was excited as he dashed forward. Your Highness! If Zuemo saw this scene, he would be shocked and recognize this person, Fu Feng. A mysterious person that suddenly appeared in Sky Moon Jia, and of unknown origins. This subordinate heard that stars in daytime had occurred in Sky Moon Jia, and assumed it was Your Highness. This subordinate had not expected Your Highness to be at Xiankong Temple. Fu Feng tried to keep his tone calm, but it was possible to hear the excitement within. It caused great trouble for you. The excitement flashed through Bihan's eyes and disappeared. He quickly recovered his usual calmness. This one cannot accept it. This one cannot accept it. Fu Feng, who was such a big person, didn't know where to put his hands and feet. Do not come too near to me. There are Jinji on my body, Bihan said indifferently. We need to return as soon as possible. They will receive notice about my escape soon. Those damn thieving baldies. Murderousness filled Fu Feng's eyes. He then said deferentially to Bihan, Your Highness, do not worry, everything has been arranged. We will quickly return home. There is nothing big about the Jinji of Xiankong Temple. Fu Feng's tone was filled with pride. Bihan turned his head to look at Sin Battalion behind him. Your Highness, this is... Fu Feng was slightly puzzled. Sin Battalion, Bihan said indifferently. Fu Feng's eyes were wide as he looked in disbelief at this silent battalion. I'm taking you home, Bihan said lightly to this silent battalion. Bihan took Sin Battalion and disappeared? A deep voice came from behind the cloth. Even the stupidest person could hear the thick anger in sect leader's voice. The disciple that was reporting was nervous, but he still faithfully narrated the events. He spoke of how the outer sect disciples guarding of the transportation formations were killed, how they were unable to contact Bihan through any method, and could not find any trace of Bihan. The sect leader behind the cloth sank into silence. This was a deathly silence. The air inside the hall seemed to become solid and suffocating to this disciple. The sect leader suddenly spoke. What about the Jinji? Didn't he have Jinji on his body? There was no response from the Jinji. The disciple was kowtowing on the ground. I understand, you can leave. The sect leader's tone became normal again, and the heavy air in the room lightened back to normal. The disciple released a breath and hurriedly bowed in farewell. When he retreated out of the hall, he found that his back was completely soaked in sweat. Inside the hall, "Investigate Bihan's identity," the sect leader suddenly said. "Yes," a voice answered. Wei Sheng and the others had terrible complexions. They had not found Zhuo and Ague after 10 days of searching. All of the Mist People tribe had been sent out to search every inch of the ground, but there was no discovery. Zhuo and Ague seemed to have disappeared into thin air. Bing Yao's expression was not good. He had not yet recovered from the fight against Ding Zhen. Looking at Bing Yao, Wei Sheng asked through his teeth, "Is there any news?" Zhongru and the little ones all raised their heads. They had also not healed from their wounds, and additionally they could not move as easily as the Mist People through the ice mist. Bing Yao gave a grimace and shook his head. After a moment of silence he suddenly said, "My clansmen have searched the area within 1,000 li and still haven't found anything. I suspect." "Suspect what?" Wei Sheng's gaze focused. "Suspect they have entered the restricted lands." Bing Yao gritted out. "They definitely should not have flown out far. There is only one place within 1,000 li that has not been searched, the restricted lands." Wei Sheng and Zhongru's heart sank. They recalled how Bing Yao had been willing to sacrifice his life to prevent people from entering the restricted lands. The two sides became silent at the obvious rise in tensions. At this time, a disturbance suddenly came from the door. A mist person led an unfamiliar man about 30 years old into the room. "Clan leader, he says he is Mr. Zhuo's messenger." Wei Sheng and Zhongru suddenly stood up. Wei Sheng's gaze was sharp as he said gravely, "Who are you? Why do I not know you?" Wei Sheng's presence was as sharp as a sword. Even though his wounds had not healed, the presence clearly was outside the limits of what the other could endure. Seeing the other's ashen face, Wei Sheng realized that he was too impatient and hurriedly dampened his presence. The expression of the incomer recovered slightly, but his voice was still trembling. This one is a good friend of Kongda. A few days ago, I received a message from him. He begged me to come here, to send a message." Then he tremblingly took out a jade scroll and respectfully presented it. "Kongda? Hadn't he gone back already?" Wei Sheng took the jade scroll and started to read it. His expression became dazed and then he handed the jade scroll to Zhongru with a weird expression. When Zhongru's consciousness entered the jade scroll, his expression also became strange. "You do this, your illusory spells are better than mine," Wei Sheng said to Zhongru with a grimace. Zhongru's hands flipped and the message appeared in front of everyone. The one speaking was Lil Mississippi. Lil Mist said they received a message from Zhuo saying that he and Ague were fine, but they were unable to come back in the short term etc., telling Wei Sheng and Zhongru to not worry, and first go back to Turtle Island to heal. Everyone exhaled in relief. Noticing Bing Yao's expression of release, Wei Sheng bowed towards him and said apologetically, "I was very offensive towards clan leader just now. Clan leader, please have tolerance." They had seen all the people from the Mist People tribe going out and searched these past days, and were grateful, yet just now, they had almost started a conflict with Bing Yao over the restricted lands. Bing Yao said guiltily, "The one who should say sorry is me. I'm ashamed not have to have taken better care of Brother Zhuo." Receiving a message from Turtle Island, Wei Sheng and Zhongru's hearts were at rest. The information was definitely true. Kongda had never seen the Mist People. If Zhuo didn't give him any directions, how could the messenger find this place? Even though the words inside the jade scroll were general and vague, Wei Sheng and Zhongru did not think deeply about it. They were very used to anything related to Zhuo to be out of the norm. Since Zhuo could pass on this news, it was enough to show that he was in no mortal danger at this time. This was the news that made them the happiest. If Wei Sheng and Zhongru knew Zhuo's present situation, they definitely would be worried. Zhuo's skeleton had almost came apart. Every time Ague took a step, he felt a wave of enormous pain, but he did not make a sound. He had spent 10 whole days on Agui's back. Agui's situation was very terrible. The vitality in her eyes had disappeared. No matter what Swo said to her, she did not react at all. Only when they encountered danger would the purple light in her eyes flare up again. Ague stopped walking, put Swo down and then silently sat down. Ague, do you know what place this is? Swo said to himself. He knew that Ague would not respond, but he still asked her. He wasn't the only one ignorant. Puyao didn't know. Wei also did not know. He only knew Ague had saved him. According to Puyao, Ague had been hit by Ding Zhen in order to save him. Strangely, Ding Zhen's strike had worsened Agui's health, but had also stimulated the purple energy in her body. It seemed to become even more powerful, but Swo didn't want it to be so powerful. Thinking about the feelings of coldness and death from the purple energy, Swo did not feel good. Compared to Ague, Swo's state was much worse. His Shen power had dissipated, his Ling power, spiritual consciousness, and Emo skill tangled together. He was unable to use any power, and even worse, he wasn't even able to move a finger. The only thing he could do was talk. Anytime the streams of power inside his body collided against itself, it would cause enormous pain. Puyao and Wei did not have a solution. It was the first time they saw such a strange state. I wonder if eldest Shixiang and Zhongru received my message, Swo said to himself. Then he asked, Hey Puyao, did you really send the message? Stop being bothersome, you asked 20 times already. Puyao's impatient voice echoed in his sea of consciousness. Done with his harassment, Swo threw Puyao to the side and said to Ague, Ague, your power seems to have recovered. It is so strange, getting injured causes a recovery in your power. Ague, if we find a water cloud embryo, would you remember the past? Ague was like a wooden puppet, and did not react at all. Swo continued to chit-chat to himself. What relationship do you think we had? You have helped me so much. Your relationship definitely is not a shallow one. Swo spoke to himself as Ague remained motionless like a statue. For hours later, Ague put Swo back on her back, and continued to walk forward. Ague, why don't you fly? Did you forget how? On her back, Swo started to speak again. That stupid purple energy. When I cultivate my Shen power to a high level, I will eliminate it. Ague did not respond as she walked forward. This was a land of death with only rocks and crags spreading out without end. There was no trace of life. They would frequently encounter sandstorms. When the sand and stones in the wind hit their bodies, it was enormously painful. But no matter how strong the windstorm, Ague would not change her direction or stop walking. Her small body carried Swo, who was a size larger than her, as she walked against the sandstorm. She did not seem to know exhaustion, and did not speak. Only when she had walked for a day and night would she stop and rest for 4 hours. Swo was pressed against Agui's neck as he was carried on her back. The enormous pain in his body did not seem to be so painful. No matter how excruciating the pain was, Swo did not speak. For some reason, he did not want Ague to hear it. Even if he knew that Ague could not hear it. Even the stupidest person would know that he and Ague had more than a passing acquaintance. She was probably someone really close to him. When she did not use the purple energy, Agui's strength was the same as the average person. Her steps were very heavy. For her, it was slightly difficult to move Swo's weight. Ague, I'm going to tell you a joke, a very funny joke. Swo patiently talked to Ague. She could not hear but for some reason, but still Swo wanted to talk. Chapter 537. Shattered stone. Bing Yao's brow had not relaxed in the past few days. It was hard for him to accept Swo's disappearance. He bowed respectfully towards Lan. After the constant worship from the Mist people in the last 2 weeks, Lan's power was gradually recovering. Lan passed on the long-lost Ice Mist Shen power cultivation method to the Mist people. The power of the tribe increased daily. The shadow that had hung over the tribe for tens of thousands of years was swept away. Lan received the sincere reverence of all the Mist people. What question do you have? Lan's faint yet authoritative voice sounded in Bing Yao's mind. Lan, what are the restricted lands? Bing Yao raised his head and asked. Lan hadn't thought that Bing Yao would ask this. He remained silent. Ever since we moved here, we have guarded the restricted lands for more than 10,000 years. No one ever knew what the restricted lands are, or why we guard it. Bing Yao's speaking speed was neither slow nor excited. It was filled with bewilderment. A moment later, Lan slowly said, "The time has not come. Xiankong Temple has already discovered this place. They definitely have a goal or they know something," Bing Yao said straightforwardly. "Become strong as fast as possible." Lan's sigh echoed in the air. The surroundings sank into silence. No matter how Bing Yao called out, Lan no longer replied. Disappointment flashed through Bing Yao's eyes, but he did not probe more. For him, or rather for the great majority of the Mist people, protecting and disallowing entry to the restricted lands was a tradition they had adhered to for tens of thousands of years. If it wasn't that Mo might be stranded in the restricted lands, Bing Yao would not think to question this. Even if Ding Zhen had really entered the restricted lands, they would not have followed. All the signs pointed to the fact that the restricted lands held an unknown secret. Even something as powerful as Xiankong Temple desired this secret. What was inside the restricted lands? In order to become the sect leader, Bing Yao had some skill and intelligence. Lan's words had been sparse, but he still managed to deduce a lot of information. To enter the restricted lands, they were not strong enough. Bing Yao's gaze became determined as he left the altar in silence. They advanced day and night. Mo dared to swear that he probably would never have another chance in this life where he would walk so far that wasn't right, carried so far. Agui's body was on the verge of falling apart, but seemed to contain astounding power. One day, one night, for hours rest, she did not know exhaustion. Mo was like a chatterbox and continued to talk. In the past, he definitely never would have imagined there would be a day when he spoke so much. Lying on Agui's back, the bare feet that he had sighed countless times over were trembling and straining with each step. He could clearly feel it. With every step, Mo's heart shook. An indescribable feeling spread in his heart to the point he felt he wanted to be silent, but he knew that he could not be silent. He kept on telling himself he had to do something. Other than these meaningless words, he could not do anything. There had never been a time. Mo had never hoped and wished like this. Wished that he could use the Shen power that dominated his body to exchange for one thread of Ling power. Just one thread of Ling power, and he could create a paper crane. But there wasn't one iota. Agui, I've found that you are undefeatable. The more you fight, the stronger you get. The more you are wounded, the stronger you get. Mo talked in a heartless tone. Have you been hiding your power in the past? I've always found it strange about why you are so good to me. Did you owe me Jingshi in the past? Hey, do you really owing me Jingshi? This ghastly place doesn't even have any birds pooping here. Did we come to another ancient battlefield? No, that was careless of me. I didn't mean to say that. Agui, you didn't hear a thing. We've walked for 20 days and didn't even see a stalk of grass. This is so depressing. With only Mo's nattering as company, they walked for another 10 days. When Mo saw the streak of green on the horizon, Mo was euphoric. Agui. Look. They're there. Oh heavens, ha, we're saved. We're saved. Agui, can you see? Mo was extremely excited and his exhales blew up Agui's hair. Agui did not respond and walked forward. Agui, you are a genius. Oh, a great genius. Such a great distance and you could find the direction. You are really a genius. Ha. We need to find someone and then heal. Once I recover, I will take you to find a water cloud embryo again, I will. You are too excited. A rough voice came from behind him. Mo's voice abruptly halted and his heart shook. The inside of his body was a mess to the point that he didn't even detect someone was so close to him. He was unable to turn his neck and could not see the person behind him. I'm very sorry, my body is unwell and I cannot turn my head. Mo tried to keep his tone normal. The other was slightly surprised. A figure flashed in front of Mo that said with astonishment, so sickly. I pity you, little girl. You don't have it easy. Mo finally saw the other's appearance. The other was of large stature and about twice Swamo's height. His skin was a sandy yellow, and a pair of faintly red eyes were sharp. Swamo's gaze landed on the other's arm. From his wrist to the elbow, it was wrapped in a layer of brown scales. Emo. Emo was so shocked he almost shouted. Had he come to a Emo territory? He is a lizard Emo in the sea of consciousness. Wei destroyed Swamo's last hopes. However, Wei's tone held a thread of excitement. Oh, faintly red eyes, he probably has the blood of flame lizards. Lizard Emo big brother, good day. Emo wanted to put a smile on his face, but his face was paralyzed. Humph, silvery-tongued boy, you don't look like a good person. The wariness in the eyes of the lizard Emo dissipated. The two in front of him didn't look like a threat at all. His brow suddenly creased. Where did you come from? The direction we came from. Swamo's tone was joyful. We walked more than 30 days, I almost went crazy. 30 days. A hint of suspicion flashed across the eyes of Uncle Lizard Emo. You mean you two passed through the Shattered Stone Desert? Shattered Stone Desert? I don't know. We were exploring some ruins, and might have accidentally activated something. As a result, we were transported to this damned place. Emo found an explanation that seemed extremely reasonable. His paralyzed face was the best disguise. The last hint of suspicion in the eyes of Uncle Lizard Emo left, and he said with a snort. You look half dead, and you explore ruins. You are very lucky to not have died in the Gobi Desert. Swamo's heart eased slightly. This Uncle Lizard Mo's tone was bold, but he could hear the friendliness. Let's go. Oh, count this as doing an act of kindness. Uncle Lizard Emo glanced at Ague and complimented. You boy are really fortunate. Finishing, he walked at the front. Ague seemed to understand and walked behind Uncle Lizard Emo. Uncle, what is this place? Emo asked familiarly. Anyone that had talked to themselves for 30 days couldn't help but be enthusiastic. Shattered Stone Town. Uncle Lizard Emo replied without turning his head. Shattered Stone Town. What jia does this belong to? Emo asked in puzzlement. Shattered Stone Jia. Uncle Lizard Emo did not turn his head. In the sea of consciousness. Wei, you were among the Emo before. Do you know where Shattered Stone Jia is? Emo asked Wei, full of anticipation. Wei coughed and said, you know my masters are usually Emo of high status and were nobility. This kind of small place. Ha 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 ha. Pu Yao's laugh echoed in the sea of consciousness. Wei's skin was clearly thicker than the average as he looked at Emo with composure. Emo had lost control of his body, but this did not affect his ability to make expressions in the sea of consciousness. Disdain. Yes, it was disdain as he looked down, deep disdain. Pu Yao laughed even more freely as the red-black Yao fire danced. You too, one of you boasts every day you are a sky Yao, arrogant and domineering. One of you acts like a seer. Ask me. Ask me. Ask me. You don't even know where Shattered Stone Jia is. How can you not know the answer to such a simple question? Old and new grievances combining. Emo pointed at the pair and swore. I should have seen the truth about you both a long time ago. One used a stupid bead in the past and preyed on my youth and inexperience, telling me how much jingsher I can make with it, but I didn't get any jingsher at all. Now the other comes in. Not even speaking of the rent, you always talk about that oath and that noble status. Ha, a person that doesn't even know Shattered Stone Jia has the qualifications to talk about status? Pu Yao's laugh stopped. Wei's smile froze on his face. Even the Yao fire stopped pulsing. After he finished scolding, Emo instantly felt much better. With a snort, he left the sea of consciousness. Uncle Lizard Emo was not very powerful, and did not cultivate a Emo physique. However, his body was strong and he strode forward. He noticed that it took Ague great effort to walk and stopped. Hey little girl, let me carry him. Ague did not seem to hear him, and continued to walk forward. Emo hurriedly apologized to Uncle Lizard Emo. Uncle, sorry, she cannot hear. Uncle Lizard Mo's gaze instantly gentled greatly. He seemed to think of something and was slightly inattentive, but he quickly raised his head. He walked together with Ague and snorted. You two, one sick and the other crippled. You don't stay at home but come out to run around. You don't want to live, right? Zuemo could only smile weakly. He didn't know how to respond. You guys fine. You won't listen even if I talk. Uncle Lizard Emo shook his head and then said, You can first stay at my place. Since I live alone, the space isn't used. Finishing, he didn't listen to Zuemo's words of gratefulness and walked forward. When they reached Shattered Stone Town, Zuemo saw some other Emo. It could be seen that these Emo were respectful towards Uncle Lizard Emo, and their gazes were full of curiosity as they looked at Ague and Zuemo. However, several female Emo looked at Zuemo with disdain and unfriendliness. Contrary to what Zuemo had imagined, not all of these Emo were lizard Emo or one type of Emo. This seemed to be a place where all kinds of Emo lived together. Shattered Stone Jia, Shattered Stone Town. Where was this? Ji was going to shatter soon. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.